That's why. Oh, hey guys. Well, there's nobody out watching because this was a very much a last minute sort of last second decision I came up with here. I think Chuck's going to be joining me shortly, and I think Lee's going to pop in too. We had planned to do this. We planned to do this live stream deep dive on Yes back in I think late March or early April, somewhere in that range. Chuck and I and Lee were on the precipice of doing it right in the beginning of May when my health really took a massive slide into the shitter here. But I started looking over my notes earlier today, and I thought, it'd be a waste to just blow this thing off. I have a strong suspicion I'm probably going to be not. I'm probably going to be going to the hospital tomorrow, the next day, and I don't know what that's going to entail. I doubt I'm going to be getting on here much anymore. So I kind of wanted to blow this one deep dive out with Chuck and Lee, who I think, as I said, is going to join us a little later. So we're going to kind of rumble through this, fumble through it, see how we make out. Chuck should be joining me shortly. I know I put a message up, about a month ago saying that, I didn't think I'd be doing anything else. Now, I did say in that if I could join the Saturn Sleigh Crew guys occasionally, I would do that. We've done 2 or 3 maybe since then. The last one I actually fell asleep on because I was feeling so shitty. And you can tell looking at my eyes, I have all this, I forget what the fuck it's called, conjunctiva keratitis or something like that, where just everything is bothering them and they're painful and weeping, and so it's a bunch of bullshit, and I'm sick of feeling sick and tired. So I thought, why not just try to blast this one out tonight if possible? And for those people that want to see it, it'll be there in perpetuity or whatever the deal is. And I know I know that Lee had put a lot into this, and I know that Chuck, I think, had put a lot of time into it. So we're going to kind of meander through this. This is not going to be as good as my usual deep dives. I fear from my end, I'm going to be the one that lets everyone down probably. But and again, this was so impromptu. I have no idea if anybody's going to join. I know Drunken Metalhead. That's Logan, right? Are you out there, Logan? If you are, let me know in the comments so I can tell. And like I said, Chuck should be here shortly. In the interim, hey, how about that? Pantera's reuniting. Wait a minute. How's Pantera reuniting when Vinny and Dime are dead? I don't understand that. Anyway, I know a lot of people hate Pantera. I'm not one of those guys that hates them. I don't love them, but I don't hate them. And I probably would have not minded seeing them back in the day. In fact, I was supposed to see them open for Typo Negative back in, when was that? 97? Somewhere around there, 95, 97, somewhere in the range. I can't remember when it was. But we had just had my daughter, my ex-wife, and I, and that didn't go over too well when I said I was going to go to Philadelphia to see that show. So I never saw them, and, I would not go to this. If somebody gave me tickets, I would go to it because I like Zach. He's a great guitar player. He was good friends with Dime, Vinny, and those guys, so I don't have an issue with that. And Charlie Benante is a great drummer. I'm sure they'll do the material proud, but it just smells so badly like a cash grab. Although all the family heirs, I guess Rita or whatever, Rita Haney or whatever, Dime's old lady, and I don't know if I think their parents are dead. Maybe the mom's still alive. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the dad's dead. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, they apparently signed off on it, and whatever. So I guess there's going to be Pantera shows this summer, maybe this summer, or no, next summer maybe, or this fall, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't buy a ticket for it, but if somebody called me up and said, "Hey, I got an extra ticket. You want to go see Pantera or the tribute?" I hope they put it as a tribute to the brothers. As far as I hope they label it as such, that it's a tribute show. I would never want to hear them try and write new music because as good as Zach is, he's not fucking Dimebag. He doesn't have the same feel as Dimebag. He doesn't play like Dimebag, I don't think, and I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want to see new material. Phil's got 8 other projects he can do that shit with, and Rex was always the one that said he wasn't going to do this, so it's kind of a little surprise to me he ended up going for it. But anyway, I guess everyone's going to be super late. I thought Chuck would be here by now, but yeah. So, do you guys hear the fan in the background? Can you hear a loud noise? Because I cannot find my headphones anywhere. Don't know where the hell they got to, and I don't really have an option but to have the fan on because it's like fucking 90 degrees here. Um, and super humid, so I need some air on me. So hopefully that's not too loud. Will somebody let me know in the chat if it's too loud, like the sound? And I guess when the guys are talking, I will mute myself and unmute when I have something to show or something to discuss. Somebody in the chat, there's 2 of you there. Can somebody let me know whether the volume is shitty? Actually, I want to try something. If somebody could let me know that they're hearing this right now, I'd appreciate it. And I want to see. It's not too loud? Okay. Now I'm confused. Why? Okay. Phil, do me a favor. I'm going to talk with this. I changed it to voice isolation mic mode. I want to. Can you tell me if that's better? Can you tell me if voice isolation, which I just changed it to, sounds better than standard mic, Phil? I'm on voice isolation right now. I was on standard before when I asked you. Does it make any difference? Is it the same? Is it worse? It's better. Okay, cool. Well, then I'll go with that. And hopefully, like I said, uh, Chuck's going to be popping in here momentarily. Lee was out with his wife, I think, but he said he was going to try to pop in. So I hope he does because I know he's probably got a lot of good notes about Yes, the band, yes. Which, like I said, we were planning on doing this back at the beginning of May, and I had plans to do uh, Blue Das Nord with Kellen and Peter, and cool. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate that. So, bottom line is that we had planned to do this, and like I said, my health really started to skid hard, really hard. So I have a strong suspicion I'm probably going to be heading to the hospital tomorrow or Monday. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to knock this out. I wanted to do this with both those guys. And I felt bad because I felt like I kind of fucked them over as far as doing it. But I just have not felt well now for about 6 straight weeks. It's been usually in the past when I didn't feel well, I'd have a rebound week or two where I had quite a bit of energy and quite a bit of ability to, get back into the swing of things and at least get things done. I have not been able to do that. I've been still doing a lot of test work. I had a CAT scan yesterday on my bladder and all my innards and my kidneys, and they didn't find anything. And the blood test that they found 6 years ago that had an unusual thing called acetylcholine alpha 3 antibody, that was very indicative that I had this autonomic ganglionopathy. Well, that came back -0. And my neurologist is fucked. He doesn't know what to do. He wanted to send me to U of Penn. He referred me there, and they never contacted me. And after about 8 or 9 days of not hearing anything, I called my neurologist in Baltimore and said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I sent the referral down there on the 5th. I called them only to find out that they trashed it and were never going to call me because that doctor doesn't do those diseases." What a fucking clusterfuck. I tell you. anyone watching, and there's not many people watching, but if you watch, hey, Jake, what's up? If you watch me the last 2 years and understand what's going on with my health, uh, I will say this unequivocally: the Western medical system has absolutely fucking killed me. That is not a joke. I say it with 100% conviction. I am 2 years on from testing for several things that it's just been a fucking joke. So the Western medical system, insurances, a bunch of cunts, all of them. All my doctors, 16 different doctors. I'm going to try to sue them, but I think it's probably too fucking late. And hey. So it was a little bit of a short notice deal there, wasn't it?
You talking to me?
Are you there? Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm getting it together, man.
All right. Well, if you want to eat while you're talking, that's fine too. Or did you already
I
eat?
just got done eating. I
Oh,
just
cool.
have to,
I think Lee's gonna pop in. He was
Okay,
kind of
cool.
like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, I know it was short notice, and I should have got you guys 3 or 4 hours ago, but I just feel like this. I'm running out of time, and we put a lot of effort into trying to make this happen a month and a half ago, and I felt
Right.
bad that we didn't do it. So I was thinking about. I was actually listening to a little yesterday. I thought, you know what? Why don't we just try to dig into it and see what happens?
See what happens.
So right now we got Jake and Phil watching. I think.
I see that. I see there.
I think Logan might be watching, or he might have been. Now we got 4 people on. So, again, guys, this is an impromptu thing. It's not going to be from my standpoint. I'm talking about me, not Chuck and not Lee if he makes it. I'm not going to be as good as I usually am. And let's face it, I'm very good usually. So, but,
Excuse me.
but no, I usually have all this sorted really well. I do have a lot of notes on the albums and dates on the albums, but I don't have a lot of history on the band. That was the last thing I didn't get to, and I was kind of hoping Lee would have a lot on that, and he probably does. But so we'll jump into this, man. Are you ready to go? And we'll just let Lee jump in when he jumps here, when he gets in.
Yeah, like I said, when we chatted earlier, I have just that lineup I sent to you. I don't have any of the early stuff anymore.
All right. Do you have your phone on you, or are you on your laptop or your phone? Okay, cool. So what I'm gonna say is, why don't you look up the discography of Yes, and you can pull up an image for like the couple of albums that we may not have. I have,
Mhm.
I see. I don't have my CDs. I have my albums. So,
Right.
you know, we may have to show some pictures until Lee gets here. I have all my CDs, but they're buried in boxes in my dad's room, and I didn't jump into that. I just didn't feel like dealing with that. So, um,
Okay.
so we'll kind of wing it that way. But I have a lot of thoughts on these albums, and I'm sure you do. I know you do. I'm sure.
Oh
And,
yeah, definitely, definitely.
this is
Not
one.
all of them, but the ones that were a big part of my life. Growing
Well,
up.
if you had to if you had to put Yes in a box of your favorites, like where would you put them at? Are they in your top 10, your top 5, your top 3?
Of all
And
bands.
where did you first hear them? What's your first exposure to Yes?
Well, Roundabout radio airplay that it got a lot of um, back in the
So
day.
that's
My
71 or 72.
I think 72.
Yeah, I'll have to. We'll get to that when we get
We'll
to the
get to
album.
that, but yeah, my older brother was taping FM radio shows, and he had that on tape. And we'd go up to the Sierras and visit relatives, and he would have his portable tape player, the big old boom box.
Right.
Could play cassettes, and so yeah, that was the first time I heard that song. I didn't know who they were, and that came years later when I was in 1976. I was camping in Big Sur, and somebody had the live album Yes Songs, and that was in rotation pretty much the entire time we were in camp, because we
Right.
had one of my buddies had run speakers from his car stereo up into the campgrounds, and so we had music, we had tunes while we were camping. So that made me go out and buy that album, and then I just started, finding their earlier stuff a little bit later on. First studio album I bought was Awaken.
Which one?
Awaken.
Oh, wait.
I've been going for the one.
Going for the one, yeah.
With my first studio album that I bought.
So that was 77, I believe.
Yeah, actually, was it 40 years ago today or something like that? So July 15th, 1977 is when they released it. I just saw
really?
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll do that when I run down some of the albums. So for me, Yes was definitely one of those first big bands I recall discovering, if you want to call it that the word. And I probably got into them right around I want to say 79, which I think was Tormato.
78 is when Tomato came out.
78. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember, Don't Kill the Whale. I remember that being on the radio quite a bit. And I do remember going for the one around that time too. So I might have been aware of them in 77. But I think without question, the first album I got by them was Yes Songs. Was, the 3-album set, which I'll show here in a bit. But and I discovered, all these amazing songs like Siberian Catrue and Heart of the Sunrise and Close to the Edge and Relay, or not Relay because that wasn't out yet.
What was out? Wasn't on that album.
Roundabout and South Side of the Sky, things like that.
Perpetual Change.
Time in a Word, or not Time in a Word. Long Distance Runaround.
Here's no disgrace. I think you already said that.
But I really wasn't aware of what I guess you could call maybe was their first big album, which was the Yes album, because that would have been. Well, actually, you have it there. Pull up the discography and pull up the Yes album. And what was the date on that? Was it
71?
71. It was 71. Okay.
Yeah, and third album.
Yeah, that's right, because there was Yes, and then there was Time in a Word. And Time in a Word was Time in a Word 69 or 70? I have this on my other sheet, but I didn't want to jump off until...
Time in a Word was 70.
70, okay.
69 was their first release.
69.
Yeah.
Now, they came into formation in 68 in London. The band originally, in its first incarnation, and this is a band that has a pretty major history of changing members and having multiple bands going at the same time, and many legal harangues, legal issues that fighting each other in court over monies and name,
rights and all that other stuff.
Rights and all that stuff, yeah. But the original band was John Anderson on vocals, Chris Squire on bass, Phil Bruford on drums, Tony Kaye on keyboards, and what was the other guy's name? Banks?
Peter Banks, yeah.
Peter Banks. I always call him Tony Banks, but it's Peter Banks.
Tony's in another band.
On guitar, right. And the very first album, which Chuck can show you a picture of here because neither of us own it. And I have to admit, I never listened to this album until about 2 months ago. There we go.
Yeah, I got a lot of glare here.
Yeah, it's some of the worst, maybe one of the worst album covers ever. But it's very 60s, right? Whoa, back up.
Hang on.
Okay. There we go.
Somewhat. I got to put
sort
that
of, kind of. But it's just a Yes thought bubble, and it's really pretty awful looking artwork.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but I had never listened to this album. Mainly, I hadn't listened to it because I was kind of scared away from it, from all the prog heads that I knew that were big Yes fans. They'd be like, that album sucks. And
yeah, you get a lot of that with those prog fans that alienate an album or a band for that matter.
Right.
But the best thing to do is just, because they're alienated, go listen to it.
Go listen.
Just for yourself.
but I kind of recall it being around with my crew that I ran with, in the 80s. My first album, as I said, was Yes Songs, the three album set, and then my second album by them, which happens to be my favorite Yes album, was Relay. I didn't get Close to the Edge until I think that was next, and ironically, I never really owned copies of Fragile, believe it or not, which was essentially their breakthrough album. I never owned that album until Rick sent me a copy of it last year. I
Oh, no
just never
kidding.
owned it. Yeah, I just never owned it because the songs I really like on it are already on Yes Songs, and that's a hard album to beat. It's such a killer collection of songs, live versions.
No, I agree.
Um,
Absolutely.
so that Yes album. How about we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I know
Came
nothing
out.
about it. I never listened to it either.
Well, let me just throw
You?
this up there. It came out July 25th, 1969. It was recorded at Advision and Trident Studios. It was produced by a guy named Paul Clay, and it was on Atlantic Records, which is where Yes stayed a huge portion of their lifespan.
Hmm.
I listened to the 2000 remaster with the bonus tracks, so go ahead and let's give me your thoughts on it, Chuck, and I'll blow you up here.
Well, like I said, I never really listened to this album, but some of the songs that are on it, I heard referred to, not really performed in its entirety when I have seen Yes perform live. One of them being Survival, which is off of this album,
Uh,
which I did not know that. But Anderson would just kind of sing a couple verses of that while he's transitioning through one song into another. Um, and I know that they covered a Beatles track on it also. They were big Beatles fans. I know
yeah,
that. So no surprise there. Um, and then there's a track on there Yesterday and Today, which was back in like 78 or 79, somewhere in there. I found like it wasn't the best of Yes, was just like a collection of Yes songs, and was titled Yesterday and Today. So um,
a comp.
yeah, a comp
comp.
of the earlier stuff, and that's where I heard these tunes, a couple of these tunes, as well as the next album that we're going to talk about here off of Time in a Word. But that's about all I know. There's some elements of what Yes would become with some of the stylings of the guitar that Banks was playing. Um,
Well, definitely the bass sound was very
oh yeah, I mean,
prominent right from the start.
right,
Chris
exactly.
Squire was Chris Squire may have one of the most unique bass tones and sounds of anybody out there. I mean, he was, certainly a big influence on Geddy Lee and tons of players out of that era. And he was the one guy that stayed with Yes the entire time. He was the only guy
Hmm.
that wasn't in and out of the band numerous times.
Yeah, he's the one
So
constant. Him and pretty much Alan White after
him and
Bruford left.
Alan White, once he took over for Bruford, was the guy too. But John's been in and out. Steve's been in and out. There was two guys that Rick's been in and out. They had Patrick Moraz, they had Trevor Rabin. They've had tons of guys coming and going. And now, like I said, I don't know if there's two versions of Yes right now or just one. I think there's only one because I think there is two.
Yes, there's the band that's carrying on with the name Yes.
Which is Hal and John Davison and Billy Sherwood, and was Alan White before he passed away, which
Yeah,
ripped
and then
yeah.
yeah, with the former lead singer of Glass Hammer,
Yeah, John Davison.
John Davison, who talking about Yes, and all the legal hassles that they bring upon each other, band members. A friend of mine jokes like every time Yes is going to get together to form, write and record a new album, they have to have their team of lawyers get together first to
Oh, they have to. They have
work
to,
out all
man.
the song rights and this and that. And so this guy Davison, he's asked to join the band to replace Anderson, and the band he was in Glass Hammer, allowed him to do that, I guess. But there was a Cruise to the Edge, one of those ocean liner cruises where it'll always be on it. So
Yeah.
Glass, oops, oh hi there. Glass Hammer was part of the lineup on this particular tour, as was Yes, and Yes would not allow Davidson to.
Hey, look at this guy.
Hey there,
I
Lee.
made it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good,
Good.
buddy. Thanks. I'm
So
really
Yes
sorry
prevented
that-
Davidson from performing with Glass Hammer on that tour, on that cruise, which I thought
Let
was
me
pretty.
get us all sorted out here. Sorry. Is that better? There we go. So real quick, we only got 5 people watching, and again, this thing got announced so late. I do want to apologize to both Lee and Chuck for coming out of the blue, out of nowhere. I know Lee was probably like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Are you kidding me?" We planned to do this thing back at the beginning of May, I believe, or the very end of April. And, I put a lot of time into re-listening to a lot of albums, and I know Lee put a lot of time in, and Chuck as well. And then I just really started feeling really bad, really, really bad. And, but tonight I was like, you know what? If these guys are down for it and they don't tell me to go fuck myself, which you can do that privately if you want, or publicly if you want to.
I'll put it in the private chat.
Right, there you go, please. I thought, you know what? We put some time and effort into this thing. Let's try to see if we can knock it out. So I kind of went through a little bit of that already, Lee. We kind of jumped into, we didn't go into a whole lot of history. Do you have do you have some history stuff you want to throw out there to get us rolling? We did start talking about the Yes album, the very first one.
Okay, so in terms of my research and what I have fresh in my head, I don't have Yes album history. So I just did starting with the album, kind of like the story of each album. Okay. And even then, since you did say it's April, I'm a few drinks in, and I have a fucking book.
Holy!
But it's basically I was a sober person putting all together all this research, and then I just completely flunked the test because I'm a few drinks in. So I'm gonna be scrambling over this thing.
I want to see you a little bit lit up. I may smoke a bowl here in a minute just to help with my pain. So
yeah, man,
we'll sort of see how it goes. But well then, okay. So as we stated, the band was formed in London in '68, and we talked about the primary guys. It was Chris Squire, John Anderson, Bill Bruford on drums, Tony Kaye on keyboards, and Peter Banks on guitar. And they put out this album, which Chuck showed one more time there. The Yes album. You have it still up there, the picture.
Oh.
And this album came out in July of '69. Yeah, there you go. Yep, good enough. The glare's not that bad. And as I told Chuck, and Chuck admitted to me, he hadn't really listened to this. I'd never listened to this until we did this. Yeah. It's kind of like the Genesis thing, where I'd never listened to the very first Genesis album, because a lot of prog nerds were like, dude, that album sucks. Don't listen to that first Yes album. It's terrible. And I got to say, I was a little bit surprised at how good it actually is.
Yeah.
Kind of like Genesis to Revelation, I didn't expect it to be much. And then when I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is actually... I hear a lot of jazz rock in this album. It's very jazzy. It's got some bluesy stuff going on. But it's... you can, as Chuck said, you can hear some inferences to where they're going to go on the next few albums, but it's not real overt. They were still trying to be sort of a radio band that were playing a little bit more complicated songs than radio really wanted, So Chuck, go ahead. Did you have any notes other than what you gave us on that? Do you have any specific?
No, I don't. I didn't know I was supposed to keep my notes.
Okay. Well, then I'll tell you what. Lee, you don't own this one, or do you?
No, I don't. I got a couple weird surprises in here, too, that are Yes adjacent, but not this one.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Later.
Give me your hits on the first album real quick. What's your
first album? I haven't listened to that in a long time. I only listened to it once or twice. I need to check it out. We're not talking the Yes album, right? We're talking the debut.
We're talking the debut, Yes, just Yes.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't have a lot of notes. I mean, I recall what you said as being pretty accurate, like jazz rock band kind of figuring themselves out, talented, a band that people should invest in, but like not quite there yet, of course. So yeah, very much like the Genesis story from what I remember, and then yeah, I think
Well,
inspirational too.
I'm gonna keep your faith. Well, I guess. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm gonna have to resort to going to my notes, which means I'm gonna be going black.
Okay.
But it's not too deep on these. So let me see what I got here. So what I have is, and again, I listened to the 2003 remaster with bonus tracks, and it is what I've got here is this isn't thought to be a classic version of the band, but it had three very key long-term members in Anderson, Squire, and Bruford. A couple of tracks stands out. The first track stands out, Beyond and Before, and I See You, which is a Birds cover. Actually, I See You is a Birds cover. I don't think they covered the Beatles on this one, did they?
I think so.
I thought it was on Time and a Word. They covered the Beatles.
Every Little Thing, John Lennon, Paul McCartney.
Oh yeah, there you go. You're right.
Side 2, track 2.
So what I hear a lot of in this album, believe it or not, is Allman Brothers meets early prog with jazzy bits thrown in. There's some Allman Brother jammy type stuff on here. And those first two tracks are really, really good. I See You, the cover is very, very good. Yesterday's a nice little ballad that sort of has a British wispy vibe to it. Looking Around's a good proggy tune with lots of prominent Squire bass and Tony K organ. They do an odd but cool cover of Every Little Thing She Does, which is kind of oddly charming in a prog sort of weird way.
Hey. Every Little Thing She Does is a Police song.
Oh, is that what I put in there?
I don't know.
Oops. You're right. That's what I wrote it out as. Oops. Freudian slip there. What's it called?
Every Little Thing.
Every Little Thing.
Just the
Oh, well.
first
Well, Every Little
nice
Thing.
one, Chuck.
Sorry about that. That'll show you how much I was focused on that album. Sweetness is a nice ballad. Survival is really, man, I can't even fucking read my own writing. Survival is really is really quite good as well. That's, I believe, the final track on the album. And then on the bonus tracks, Something Coming is kind of lame. And then they do a show, because it's a show tune from Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah.
I never listened to this album. Oddly, for some reason, I was pleasantly surprised about its quality. It's not the Yes that I've known all my life, but it's quite good. Definitely would buy it if I run into it somewhere used for sure. I'd give it a 6.5 out of 7, which I did not expect to do.
And he's gone. 6.5 out of 7.
Yep, 6.5 out of 7.
Okay, so
that's an F, academically.
Okay.
So that's not too good.
Okay, so that's where the 7 comes from. Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Oops! I kicked myself.
We got to stop talking about Unleash.
I kicked myself out. I went and hit the wrong window and bounced.
Well, now you're going all Blair Witch right here, man.
Oh, for Christ's sake! Yeah, well. So, again, that's not really typically thought of as the real Yes. The second album is kind of, and a lot of people actually would say that the real Yes is the third album, because you've got Steve Howe and you've got Bill, still got Bruford there for his last album, but that's kind of thought of as the beginning of the classic lineup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, does anybody have Time and a Word?
Nope.
Chuck, can you show me a picture? I had the tape of it.
I got a disc of it.
Yeah, I had the cassette tape of it, but I fear I may have sent it to somebody in the VCLT, because I don't really like tapes, as you well know. Okay, that's the English version of it, which is interesting because there's the U.S. version. They didn't like the naked female breast artwork. And if I'm not correct, or if I am correct, Chuck, on that album cover, the U.S. version, Steve Howe is on that, correct?
Yeah, he is.
But he's actually not on the album. He didn't play on the album.
Nope.
They
Yeah, he started the Yes album.
Yeah, he started on the Yes album, but they put him on that album because after they recorded this album, Time and a Word, Tony Kaye was kind of it was mutually agreed upon that he would leave the band, evidently.
Mm-hmm.
Which he was a very good guitar player. So, but they
Peter Banks, you mean?
or Peter Banks,
Kay's
yeah,
a keyboardist, right?
Peter Banks. I mix these two guys up.
No kidding.
Soon they're both gone, and I don't have to talk about them anymore. But no, there's some good guitar work on this album, Time and Word. It's again, that's now the only thing I would say about this album that kind of threw me a little bit was there's a lot of orchestrations on it, which was a big thing to
I
do
remember
back
that.
then.
Yeah, it's
And
like Moody Blues kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
and some of them work and some of them don't work as well. So, Chuck, you want to talk about this one?
Well, really, the only song I'm really familiar with off of this is "Time and a Word," which is a great song. I've always enjoyed it. I'm stumping myself here because during this period of time, didn't they do the cover of a Garfunkel, Simon and Garfunkel song, "America," which I thought was on this album, but I'm mistaken. It's not here. So anyway,
Which song?
"America," "Searching for America."
No, that's on
later.
Fragile.
Oh, okay. So I'm
Yeah,
just
it's like a
B-side, I think.
bonus track, or yeah.
It was a B-side. It was a B-side to Roundabout, but it was on. It's on the bonus. It's a bonus track on Fragile after it came out. Yeah, I don't think they did. I'm looking here real quick.
Oddly enough, Close to the Edge, my copy has America as the single version.
Does it really?
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one that it's on then. Then I'm thinking that's where it's at actually.
Yeah, because I could have sworn, but yeah, it seems a little later than you.
I think you're right.
But yeah, there was a single, "Sweet Dreams," and the B-side of that was "Dear Father," and I remember those tunes off of that other album I was just talking about yesterday and today, which I really enjoyed as well. But I can't really say too much because I never really listened to this album either, so I wasn't really too familiar with this record and nor the lineup. So,
well, it should be noted that there is 2 covers on this album. The very first song, "No Opportunity Necessary, No Experience Needed," is actually, believe it or not, a Richie Havens song, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I did not know that, and it's a good tune. And then the third track, "Every Days," is a Stephen Stills track. So the rest of it is mostly Anderson. Actually, mostly Anderson wrote this album for the most part.
yeah.
And there's some good tracks on it, man. I mean, how about you? Yeah, Kevin, we'll get there, man. We're getting there for sure. Lee, what have you got on Time and a Word?
A lot of the same comments as you. I just remember it being really orchestral. I haven't listened to it in a long time. When I was kind of like later in college, I got really into like late 60s music. So this was one that I would listen to at that time, but I wouldn't listen to it when I was like in my prog phase, kind of listening to Yes and stuff, which was actually before that. So, I go through, as anybody does when they're in their late teens and 20s, you kind of like find these periods. And it's like the rest of your life, you're revisiting them. That's kind of how it's been for me. So I remember listening to this one while I was listening to like Moody Blues and stuff. And
well, let me ask you a question, actually, that Chuck and I already kind of did that.
Yeah.
Where did you come in on Yes? Like, what was your first exposure to him?
Definitely heard Roundabout when I was a kid through my parents, but they didn't have any Yes albums, actually. I grew up more on like Journey and Bad Company and shit like that.
Rock,
yeah. So like they would like Yes, but for some reason it just never was in the rotation. But I did hear Roundabout on classic rock radio. Actually, the first time I'd hear about them is definitely "Seen All Good People." I heard that far before I heard Roundabout. Now that I remember,
wow.
Yeah,
that seemed to be more on classic rock radio before Roundabout when it actually became classic rock. Like it's not.
Right.
You guys would have heard it,
right?
Chuck. Yeah, I never knew the band when it was Seeing All Good People, but I remember hearing that. So then when I actually got into them, it was when I was like, into Rush, and then I was like, okay, well, who inspired Rush? Yes, and I got this greatest hits. This I have it somewhere. No, I put it up. I should remember. Here it is. I got this like greatest hits copy.
Oh yeah, your classics. I think
Yeah,
it's called. Yeah,
I think I got this thing at fucking Walmart. But
yeah.
I remember just listening to this, and then the song that really, really hit me was "Part of the Sunrise." That's what really got me spinning into all the other songs, and I just went deep. There was a period in like 2013 or 14 where you can get a lot of the Yes albums for $5, so I just stocked up real quick.
Now,
The same thing with Rush.
do you have the Time and the Word album, or you don't? You said you
I
didn't have
don't.
it. Okay.
No.
Good.
I get everything from Onward though.
I'll let me give a quick synopsis of it, since I did give that one a good listen. That came out on July 24th, 1970. Tony Colton was the producer, and I know that there was somewhere in here in my notes. I think they talk about this. Let me see. That was done at Advision Studios, and again, it's on Atlantic. They incorporated a full symphony orchestra in many of the songs. Peter Banks' last album with the band. He was replaced with Steve Howe before touring, but he's not on the actual record, despite, he's not on the actual record, the artwork of the record, despite Howe being on the U.S. cover and Banks on the rear. Banks was on the rear of that album, which is really weird on the artwork. So he is on the artwork, but he's on the rear. The original cover was deemed too racy for the American audience, the label, for an American label release, because it has boobies, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, it does.
It's very up tempo, major bass. There's a lot of bass busyness going on, courtesy of Chris Squire. The orchestrations are a little distracting all over these songs, but they're good. There's some complex, almost jazzy song arrangements where the guitar isn't as prominent later as it was on the first album. Again, it's up tempo. Oh no, then is an up tempo and kind of crazy track, but I dig it quite a bit. Every Day is very reliant on the symphony track, but it's also a moody track that's pretty cool and has an almost sinister vibe to it. Great vocals by John. Sweet Dreams is an okay track, not a big fave. The Prophet has some killer Hammond on it to begin the track, but it gets weirdly happy and proggy. Again, not bad, but not in love with it. Clear Days, lame, over orchestrated ballad. Astral Traveler has a weird Santana vibe, almost a Latin style percussion thing going on. Not a bad song, but nothing exciting here. Time and a Word is probably the standout Anderson track, but on records it sounds sort of like it's moving in slow motion, where live the versions I've heard are much better. I don't think I've ever heard the studio version before now and wasn't mind-blowing. Dear Father is another track that's sort of overreaching in its scope. It's just not that great or tuneful. I'm not crazy about John's voice on this album. It sounds different to me than on a lot of the later albums. It's an album that's dominated by Hammond, organ, and orchestrations. They're ambitious tracks that occasionally hit the mark, but often the re-listen value for this one just isn't there for me. I give it a 5 out of 10 simply because it's probably the worst album in this stretch of albums for me as far as holding my interest. So next up, we've got the Yes album, which came out February 1971. It was recorded at Advision. This is the first time they start working with Eddie Offord as their engineer, who was with them throughout most of their big hit albums, I would say. But it was also self-produced, which I think was a right move for them. I really think it was the right move. And this is on Atlantic. And how about I let one of you guys take over and talk a little bit about what you want to. Chuck, you want to go there with the Yes album?
Sure, absolutely. Let me just get this up here. Yeah, I get this one confused with Fragile. They both came out the same year.
Yeah.
And when I heard them, 78 is when I got turned on to them. My roommates had this album and Fragile album, so I had it on cassette. So it was in rotation a lot back then. But the Starship Trooper is the song that I totally dug off of this album.
Oh yes.
The 3 stages of that, and then there's a line off that goes somewhere along the line, says loneliness is the power we all possess to give or take away forever, and that's kind of stuck with me my entire life. Years of No Disgrace is on this. Hal's contribution with his first instrumental, The Clap, which was included on this as well. Seen All Good People.
However, do you know the story about The Clap?
It's Clap.
It's actually not called The Clap. It's called Clap.
The Clap.
Yeah, and Hal is still pissed off about that to this day. Like the early versions of it said The Clap on. I think it says Clap now, right?
It says Clap here on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So.
Lee, am I right on that? It has.
Yeah, you're
Clap,
right. You're right on the issue.
But I think on the very first issue, it had The Clap, and Steve was pissed off about that. And I heard an interview with him recently, literally like 2 months ago. He's still pissed off about it.
He can't move on. He can't move on.
It doesn't surprise me.
Actually, Steve's a pretty interesting guy. He was way more chatty in this interview. I think I sent that to you, Chuck, about 2 months ago from, I think it's Classic Rock Reviews or something like that. The guy did it was like almost a damn near an hour interview. Like Hal would not shut up.
I think I've seen little pieces of that.
It was a good interview, and Steve laid a lot of stuff out there. And I mean, in all honesty, like now I think Steve's at least trying to keep the band moving in the right direction. But yeah. So this is where I would think that most Yes fans, classic Yes fans, would say this is where Yes begins.
Yeah, I agree with that statement for sure.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, we should have had you on, Kevin. You sound like you're a super Yes fan. I am a super Yes fan, but we kind of, we were supposed to do this 2 months ago, so it'll be a little bit of a, sort of a mixed bag here. But anything else on that one, Chuck? Was there anything else you wanted to say about that one?
Well, that Anderson, in interviews I've heard with him years later after this album was released, and they toured and played I've Seen All Good People, and he includes in the live version of it John Lennon's Just Give Peace a Chance as they transition from Your Move into All Good People. So yeah, Kevin, you're right. There's a lot of influence by other vocalists on Anderson for sure. So not only with their stylings, but also I think with their lyrics as well.
Nice, Logan. Very cool. And yeah, we're going to talk about this one quite a bit when we get there, Kevin. How about you, Lee? What are your impressions here?
Yeah, so I can add in a couple factoids and then talk a little bit about the songs and stuff. But yeah, first one with Steve Howe, of course, like we were talking about, Clap, the version that's on the album was recorded on stage at the Lyceum Theater.
Oh, that's right. It was live. That's right.
And then it was really the first album that did well. Time and Word really did not perform well, so they were on thin ice.
Right.
So I think it's worth noting that this really did break through for them. Climbed to number 4 in the UK, reached number 40 in the US. And let's see.
Which is kind of crazy that this album, where they basically wrote, how many songs on there? 6, right? Or is it
Correct.
7? 6. I mean, they basically wrote 5 big prog rock sort of tracks, and the Clap was just sort of a an incidental thing, and that's the one that kind of broke them. It's hard to believe in a weird way, I mean, because there wasn't. Yes, King Crimson was around now. In the Court of the Crimson King had already come out. Probably Wake of Poseidon too, I believe, or close to it. So yes, there was other prog bands developing at this point, but there wasn't really anything out there that was like a giant market for prog. And then this one kind of goes nuts. This one's the one that suddenly they've got worldwide recognition. and they can keep the recording constant.
Definitely.
What stands out to you on this album?
I'll give you some hot takes too. Overall, I feel like in some ways this is like my favorite of Steve Howe's guitar playing because like it has the most tastefulness. Sometimes he can kind of go crazy, which is like part of his charm in later albums. But with this one, it's very logical yet emotional. Like it just doesn't feel like pretentious playing, which I think sometimes he can kind of hair with. And his acoustic guitar and the classical guitar with the electric, the way they weave throughout the whole album is really good. For some reason, I really do not like the beginning of Yours Is No Disgrace. Like, I just hate the whole pompous kind of like dun 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 dun. Like, I don't know. They like play that groove too much. But then it has some really cool moments in that song. And like, I know everybody loves that song, but for some reason, that beginning part, I just always think it sounds lame.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that take before.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. It just sounds lame to me. Clap's awesome. I love that he's like playing it live and it's just like flawless take. I watched a video of him playing it live and just like his foot going and almost like this really fast picking kind of American style playing.
He's doing some chicken picking on it.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So I love that. Starship
Trooper. He's a stellar player, man. I mean, if I had to point to two guitar players that made me want to pick up a guitar, it was Steve Howe and Alex Lifeson. Hands down, those are the two guys that made me want to play guitar.
Because he has unreal talent.
Yeah, because this was, keep in mind, this is mid-'70s. Ace Frehley would probably be number 3 on there, and Ace is a terrible guitar player. Of those three, Steve is probably the best, but Alex is probably my favorite. But yeah, man, I mean, the guitar work on this album and the next several albums is just unreal.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And then for like Starship Trooper, I think it's a much better song than Yours Is No Disgrace. I think Bruford's like Tom kind of centric grooves. That's such a like drumming style of the time. Like when I think of like an early kind of 70s drummer and I think of like Bill Bruford, like nobody nowadays plays like that style.
Right.
So whenever I hear like that kind of playing, like him or Ginger Baker even, or like players like that, like that's just not what's even remotely popular. And I don't even know unpopular bands that have drummers that sound like Bill Bruford nowadays.
Yeah, exactly.
Love the triumphant climb at the end of the song. I've Seen All Good People. I mean, we've heard it like a million times, but it's such a cool pop song the way it's constructed. I love progressive pop songs. Like I like to analyze what makes them catchy, but then what also makes them interesting. I think it's a good example of that. I love it. Emphasizes vocal harmony. Arrangement's really brilliant.
I was just going to say that you just touched on a huge element of Yes that is probably not often thought of.
Yeah.
Like an immediate thing that you think of with Yes. You think of proggy, long, epics, complicated. But what really was probably the most complex part of Yes was their vocals, man. Every guy in the band could sing. And they could do 5-part harmonies. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I mean, that's one of the things that caught my ear too was just the 3-part harmony with Hal Anderson and Squire. It's just a perfect blend, I thought, of those 3 voices together. Sticks in my head, that's for sure. 5-part harmony, though. I mean, who else was singing besides those main 3?
Well, Alan White sang, didn't he?
I don't believe so. He was always singing along, but in the drum kit when you see him playing live, I don't think he was mic'd up.
I always thought he was a singer too. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, well then I missed that then. And what? I guess you're right. I guess Waitman never sang, right?
No.
Yeah. All right, I fucked up. I meant 3-part, but I said all the guys.
3-part's still a lot though.
Yeah, that's still.
Absolutely.
And they did it so well.
They did. They really did.
When you had stuff like, like the take what you say in a different way. I mean, all those 3 when they follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just literally had like choral parts going on with just those voices,
Yeah,
which was amazing.
and
Yeah.
that's the thing that's like so rare.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm with you.
I mean, that's a good point. I think of one. Try and think of one prog band, like classic prog band, other than Gentle Giant. Who
All right,
were,
I was about to say Gentle Giant.
but they're okay. But they're in their own fucking universe. Gentle Giant were, but of all the, what other did Genesis have a lot of multi-part harmonies?
Not really. If they had harmonies, it was Collins and
Yeah, and it was like
Peter.
powering one
It was
similar
overpowered.
melody line, like
Right,
yeah.
You didn't have three or four guys singing, and
Yeah.
in also in what the fuck King Crimson. There ain't no fucking harmonies there,
No.
and
Well, no ELP.
or ELP exactly.
It was just like, but
Like,
you had a little bit in it. In
Pink Floyd, you had a little bit.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
you
say.
didn't have, but not a lot. Not a lot.
Yeah,
Usually
it was more
it was-
like changing
usually it
lead
was layered.
singers.
Well, it was usually Laird Gilmore or Laird Waters, or it was like you said, the backup singers that they had, which were amazing, by the way.
Well, what about American prog bands? Let's see, Kansas.
Okay,
Yep.
Kansas, you're
That would
getting there.
be potential.
See, but here's the thing though. Kansas to me is kind of like America's Yes in a lot of ways. A little bit heavier, maybe a little bit more crunchier,
Yeah.
but they wrote, and don't get me wrong, dude, I fucking love Kansas. Oh my God. Steve Walsh might be my favorite. Man, he's like in my top 3 or 4 singers. That guy, when he was
good vocalist.
up, just unfucking real, man. Love and Miracles Out of Nowhere. Holy shit, that song gives me wood every time I listen to it. It's like, get the hell out of here. But anyway, so what? Any final thoughts there, Lee? Any other?
I got a couple hot takes for the remaining songs. Adventure, weakest track of the album. Sounds like a Beatles ripoff. Not impressed.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a schmaltzy stand-up piano sound too. And then Perpetual Change. It's like I like half the song and I dislike half the song. So I love the rhythm section at the beginning. What I don't like is I don't like the Sinatra-esque like verse thing from John, where he's just kind of schmaltzing around.
Yeah, that's a little cheesy. I agree, but I love the rhythm verses and the chorus on it, man.
Yeah.
We'll see Perpetual. Yeah.
So I'm like being critical. I think this is a great album. I did do ratings for all of them, if you feel inclined to share. But I like this album a lot.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I mean, for me, this is a 4 out of 5 album.
Okay,
so it's great.
How about you, Chuck?
4 out of 5, sure. I
4 out of 5?
totally agree with that. I think this is one of their top albums.
All right, let me rip through my stuff quick, and then we'll get moving. So this is again 1971 Ad Vision Studios. Yes, Eddie Oppert and Atlantic. Steve Howe's first contribution as guitarist and writer, super noticeable right away. Major label commercial breakthrough, number 4 in UK, number 40 in US. To me, Yours Is No Disgrace starts off amazing. Just a stellar track packed with awesome guitar pieces, big epic keys, Kira thumping bass, and Anderson's vocals coming to the fore. Just a blazing song. Clap recorded at Lyceum, as he said, on earlier it was called Earlier Pressings. Great acoustic instrumental, shows what a stellar player he is. Starship Trooper, another stellar song, long and complex, but not overly complex, and still memorably melodic and tuneful. And the Worm section, man, I love the Worm section. Down, 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 down. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It's climbing up.
Such a killer build to that, man.
Yeah.
And it crescendos so incredibly well. That's one of my favorite jams I do. Groovy, building, epic as the synths and bass groove on house chord progression. Seen All Good People, another classic, good harmonies. John's vocals are fragile and beautiful with the mandolin. And when it breaks into the almost country-ish rocking part, it's just a great, memorable track you can't forget, especially the da 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 da. The church organ is killer. Adventure's a nice, almost polka proggy tune. Least interesting song on the album for me. Perpetual Change, not a banger, so awesome, anthemic. That final of the song is so cool. You'll see perpetual change. To me, this is the album Yes Became Yes. They developed their own sound, frankly, set up a huge template for all other prog bands. Yes, maybe the Court was technically the first, Court of the Crimson King was the first prog album, but to me, this is a first massive influential prog album that meshed high level musicianship and complex uh, song composition along with almost pop song sensibilities. This one's a 9.5 out of 10 for me, 4.5 out of 5. These songs just move me. They never bore me. I never get bored of hearing these songs, which is weird because I usually get bored of a lot of songs. So, yeah, man, I love that. I love that album. Okay, what we got next, Chuck?
Well, Fragile. I don't have Fragile, the album.
Do you have it?
I think Lee does. There he goes. Yeah.
Now, do you have the original version or the bonus track version, the remaster? Probably a remaster.
No, this is a really old version.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is probably I don't know, like probably early CD, like whenever CDs came out. This is probably an early issue.
Oh, okay. What's
That's
that?
decent
Does that have
quality.
that doesn't have the bonus track on it? No.
Nope. Ends on Heart of Sunrise.
Okay. Chuck, what do you want to say about that one?
Again, this was in high rotation in my commuting days. I had a half-hour drive into work, so between the Yes album and Fragile, they were in heavy rotation for a while. The song Roundabout, like we discussed earlier, I heard that song, so it just put the song, put the album to the band, so to speak, for me. Or the song to the band. I didn't know it was Yes, and then when I started listening to this, it's like, oh, yeah, I heard this song, and I know Roundabout. Which today, Roundabout is probably my least favorite song to listen to.
Yeah,
because it was played to death on the FM radio, kind of like Time and Pink Floyd. Roundabout for Yes.
Yeah.
For me is just although there's some really killer organ playing that was done on this, that solo that Wakeman plays in it, it's just killer. But moving on, that vocal thing that John Anderson does, "We Are Heaven" or "We Have Heaven."
Yeah.
Tell the moon dog, tell the marcher.
Right. Here is this is at the time I was working, I was operating a telex machine and it had a button on it called "Here Is." So it's like, how did John Anderson know that I was working a telex machine, by putting that in his song? Or does he have a telex machine in his studio? Anyways, but I really dug that. And then going into the South Side of the Sky, I mean, just the guitar work that Hal does on that is just totally. I mean, I just love South Side of the Sky. Long Distance Runaround is another cool track that I enjoy. The Fish, oh my God, that's so cool. That Squire, it's one of my favorite. And then Heart of the Sunrise. But here at Mood for the Day, which became kind of like a concert staple for, or is it the Mood for a Day?
No, it's Mood for a Day.
That's on here as well. So
great track.
Again, more songs that are just like classic Yes prog songs are on this album, and it's these two albums came out the same year, so they definitely were juices flowing in '71.
Super creative in that.
Definitely.
And they wisely capitalized on the success of the Yes album, because if they'd have come out, realistically, maybe if they'd have come out with Close to the Edge, it would have been a bit too much. So they come out with this, and it kind of prepares you for the next phase, which is Close to the Edge. So, a couple quick comments there. Logan said that's the album that got him on. 90% of Yes fans. I would wager a bet that it's a high percentage, like you say, and Roundabout. I had said that I wasn't entirely sure where I had to have heard Roundabout first of all that stuff. I had to, because it was a staple on radio. It was just constant in the 70s and 80s. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
what the first time I really remember knowing, oh, that's Yes, was towards the end of the 70s, maybe when I had heard Don't Kill the Whale. I'm like, oh, that's the same band that did. Oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's in my top three, which I'll hit you with at the end. I love those interludes, man. Yeah, Rock Burnout, no doubt, man, no doubt. So I can't listen to like 4 or 5 Guns N' Roses songs anymore, and I'd have to sit and think of what the 10 songs are that come on that I don't want to hear, but I think Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Disturbed probably have most of them, and maybe Godsmack. They're all in there.
The top 10 burned out songs. Yeah,
All right, what you got, Lee?
another time.
All right, couple interesting historical things. So, part of the reason that Tony Kaye was kicked out was basically because he was very focused on just staying with like the
Hammond.
organ and the
Yep.
Hammond. Yeah. And basically, Anderson
brought
wanted to
that
push
up.
him towards Moog or Mellotron.
Synthesizers.
Yep. And then basically, Wakeman just kind of casually did the rehearsal. Like, he wasn't like dead set on joining Yes. He just
That's
kind of
right.
was like, I'll just go ahead and try it. So then they
Right.
start rehearsing and they basically write 60% of Heart of the Sunrise together. And then next day they just come back and convene. And then eventually it's like, okay, I guess you're in the band.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a cool
I'm
thing.
glad you brought that up. We forgot to mention that Tony Kaye left on the last album, the last album, and then they brought in Rick Wakeman, who I forget who Rick Wakeman was with. Do you remember?
The Straubs.
The
Yeah,
Straws.
the Scrubs. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. And he was a pretty big deal. I mean, he was kind of the guy at the time, and they managed to pull him in. And as Lee said, he wasn't even really sure. He was just going to do the rehearsals, and he wasn't really going to do it. And then they're like, it just kind of the creativity exploded out of that.
Yeah.
What you got note wise on the songs? Got anything you want to hit particularly?
I got like 2 more interesting facts, then I'll hit you with some quick notes.
All right.
Here, I'm just going to read this one verbatim. It says, mired in a tangle of contractual problems, Wakeman was prevented from adding his own composition. Instead, he opted for a copyright-free arrangement of the third movement of Brahms' Fourth Symphony. I just thought it was funny. That's why that track is on the
Oh,
album.
that's right.
So that's just funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's just get into the song notes. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to push back a little bit on the Roundabout comments. I think maybe it's just my age. But I could probably listen to that song once a week and never get sick of it. Because, I just didn't hear it as much as a lot of people that are older than me, I guess. So I still haven't gotten burnt out on it yet. And whenever it comes on the radio for me, it's like the nice, break from the other stuff that's being shoved down my throat that I'm sick of hearing.
Right.
So
that's a good point. That's a good point because, obviously Chuck and I have 20 plus years on you for the most part. And I will say that if it comes on the radio, I wouldn't turn it off.
Yeah.
But it is one that I have a little more fatigue with than some of the others. But I really don't hate it. It's not like I said, it's not like Paradise City or fucking Welcome to the Jungle. It's like I turn that shit off immediately. Or fucking The Memory Remains or King Nothing, or it's like Goodbye or Sad But True anymore, quite frankly. But
yeah, that's played a lot. Yeah.
But Roundabout's not that kind of song. There's so much creativity and complexity in it, and the part where they do the in and around the lake, the mountains come out of the sky and they stay, and then you got all those harmonies.
Excellent dynamic.
Just incredible, man.
Kansan Brahms, I just had one comment. I think he's a really interesting. There's like foil characters in like fiction.
Right.
He's almost like a foil musician to Keith Emerson with this song because it's so formal and dignified. Whereas if you hear Keith Emerson, it's mad scientist.
Yeah,
so I thought that was kind of cool.
And stuff.
Yeah, just showing how the keyboard is such a malleable instrument that really shows the mind at work.
Yeah.
South Side of the Sky, love the song. 5% of Nothing. I would have. This is my comment on it. Making this longer than 35 seconds would have been a mistake. All right, so it was just the right amount of time. Long Distance Runaround, great song. I love the like intricacy yet pop and accessible sensibility of the song. I love The Fish. I think that's such an awesome song. Mood for a Day. I feel like all of his classical kind of oriented pieces in this period are really good. I do like Clap more though. And then Heart of Sunrise, top 5 favorite Yes song for me. I saw footage and it was after Bruford left, so it was Alan White playing, and Bruford definitely has the pocket of the song a lot better. So I thought it was kind of interesting watching the drummers have their different takes. But I especially, so you guys know I'm a musician, but there was a song that I was writing at the time when I was listening to this song. And you know how the drums part before the like sharp distance? So it's like sharp.
Yeah.
So like I did something like that in one of our songs based off of that part. So I just thought that was really cool.
Nice.
That's it.
All right, I'll throw my stuff up quick. So where are we at here? Okay, so this one was, I don't know if I mentioned, this came out November 16th, 20. Hey Chuck, do me a favor. Will you kill your mic for a minute? And we're getting a lot of
like a typewriter.
Yeah, something's going on with his mic. All right, come back.
With my mic?
Yeah, your mic's making this clicking noise. Huh? Now it's not. Now it's quiet.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Anyways, came out. Fragile came out November 26, 71. Recorded at Fitzrovia, Advision. Yes, and Eddie Ofer produced again, and it's Atlantic Records. Like you said, Tony Kaye was reluctant to dive deeper into synths. So this is also, we forgot to mention, shocked that you missed this, Chuck. This is the first Roger Dean artwork.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yep. There were 4 group pieces. There's 4 group pieces and then 5 short solo performances. Went to number 4 in the U.S., number 7 in the U.K. Roundabout, iconic track. Nothing else to say. It's brilliant. Kansan Brahms, Wakeman solo. We have Heaven John solo, vocal, acoustic piece, South Side of the Sky. Underrated gem in their catalog. Kind of a groovy song. I love the piano lines by Wakeman in that. 5% is Bruford solo, Long Distance Runaround, great little poppy radio tune. Fish Squire solo, Mood for a Day, another great Hal solo piece. Heart of the Sunrise, the big epic closer, kind of their metal song in my opinion. I always thought that's kind of like their heavy metal track, don't you?
Yeah,
it's
I hear it too. It's so dramatic.
It's so dramatic. That's the word for it, and it's just got this weightiness to it, you know, especially that
kind of reminds me of Rainbow and Dio and that, like the epicness of it.
Yes. Yep. Very good. Where are we at here? Great album with 4 standout tracks and a bunch of little nice solo pieces that I wish the solo pieces were like 1 or 2 more good tracks, but that's the only thing that detracts from me. Love this album. The production is better than on the Yes album. Would have rather another group track versus solo pieces, so it gets an 8.5 for that reason. Also, because I'm so used to the Yes song versions of Heart and Roundabout. Yeah, the Yes song versions are superior for me to the studio tracks, especially for Heart and Roundabout. So, cool.
So you like Yes album more than Fragile.
A little bit.
Interesting.
Mainly,
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there on that, Jeff, because Yes Songs is the first album I bought for Yes, so that was my introduction to all these Yes songs.
right.
So when I heard the studio version, it was like, oh, this is kind of tame compared to the live version.
I agree. The only
it goes both ways too. I mean,
sure,
Starship Trooper is a great studio fucking cut, man.
like Lee, if Fragile had one more epic track on it and we had just Steve Howe's solo piece, it would probably be a perfect album. But all those little solo interludes kind of, I don't know. I know they're brief. They're all very brief, but they just kind of put me off on the album a little bit.
There's something about him I like a lot.
I know, and that's we all hear things differently. I think it opens with such a banger and closes with a monster banger that in the inside it's like if we'd had one more good track, maybe one more big track, I would have been maybe a little more. My belly would have been full. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like each one of the members took and have a track on this that they wrote and performed. So
right,
it was almost like a meet the Yes band.
Meet the band.
To me, it's like, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody's opinion here, but like for me, what I like about it is the songs stand out more because the interludes are like the background of a painting. You know what I mean? So it's like they support and they make the other songs better. Whereas if it was all songs, then you want to have that contrast, which makes the songs highlight more.
I see your point. I disagree, but I see your point. I agree with Drunken Metalhead, Logan. He says the interludes break up the flow of the album. You're saying the exact opposite, Lee, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah. I like
so that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So what did you give it? You gave it a 5?
No, 4.75.
4.75.
So I gave Yes album 4, Fragile 4.75. I do like more.
All right, so I would say I gave Yes album 4.75 and this a 4.5. Only because the interludes. I think the tracks are basically stronger, but the bone is a little dry on that one. That's all.
What about you, Chuck?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
All right. What we got next? We got
Big Boy.
Close to the Edge, correct? Let me give a couple of factoids on it real quick here. Came out September 13th, 1972, recorded at Advision. Again, Yes and Eddie offered, and that's also Atlantic. And Anderson and Al developed the idea of doing a sidelong concept piece for this album. It went number 4 in the UK, number 3 in the US. Bruford wasn't very happy during recording, feeling things had gotten too simplistic and diatonic. He wants more improv and jazz. Left the band and was replaced by Alan White. 11 days after Bruford left, they had to start a tour, and White had 3 days to learn the material, which is kind of crazy. You think about that. 3 days to learn all that?
Yeah, and he did it.
That's fucking terrifying, man.
Alan White was
a
special drummer.
All right, hang on. I'll come to you guys. I got hung up there. Lee, why don't you start this one out? What you got on that one?
Let's see. I haven't had the chance to dig into the historical stuff as much, so I'm just going to talk about the songs. I mean, for me, Close to the Edge is probably like the greatest prog rock song ever written.
I'd have a hard time disagreeing, although I think Gates of Delirium is right there. They're 1 and 1A.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get there.
We'll get there, yeah.
I agree with that point for the most part as well. Verse groove is infectious. Like, doom, 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 doom. Like, the rhythms are just amazing. Bruford's grooves just never feel overboard. They, like, interweave perfectly with how Squire plays. I love the space in the middle where dynamically you can, like, get up, like the get up part.
together.
Yeah, and the way it comes back to the song is amazing. I mean, it's a long song, but it never feels too long.
No, I agree.
It's frantic yet controlled. Great vocals, great lyrics. You're just along for the ride. It's cinematic. It's a masterpiece. And You and I, really good contrast. Really beautiful mellotron swells. The acoustic part gives it nice space. You really can't. This is what I wrote. You can't help but cry hearing the live version of this song in this period. It feels like the end of a magnificent movie.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
I remember watching a live show and I shed a little tear. It was really powerful.
It's a moving
And then-
song live for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then Siberian Khatru, just such a cool way to end the album. It's like very fun, upbeat song. It's almost like after the end of And You and I, it's like all the cast of the play is up at the front of the stage and they're bowing. And then they come back for an encore for Siberian Khatru. Like, it just has that type of atmosphere. I mean, what's also to say? This is top 3 best prog album ever written.
Oh yeah.
So like, I mean, it's a 5 out of 5 perfect album. I'll let you guys go.
You just brought up an interesting thing though. Top 3 prog albums, man. Woo. Man, is that hard. I mean, think about that. You got
a lot
you
to choose
almost
from.
gotta have in the Court of the Crimson King in there.
Yeah.
Because arguably it's the first, and it's fucking brilliant. Yeah, you pretty much have to have this album there, don't you? Because while I like Relayer better for some reasons I'll get into, this was the first, and it was just so unbelievably incredible. And then what else would you put up there? Nursery?
I'd put a Pink
Foxtrot?
Floyd album probably.
Okay.
Foxtrot would be top 15.
So Dark Side?
I mean, it's like
As a
objective
prog-
or subjective, you know.
Yeah, that's a hard one to. I mean, that would be the other 2 bands that you would consider. I think in the top 3 would be Pink Floyd and Genesis. And what album out of those 2 catalogs would you choose? Because the Close to the Edge has to be in there, you know, without question in my mind.
I mean, I actually like Relayer better overall. It's my favorite Yes album, but we're talking by a thumbnail over Close to the Edge.
Yeah,
It's
by a nose.
it's that close. And on any given day, if those are the only 2 albums I could listen to the rest of my life, I'd probably be all right with it. Crazy as that sounds, all the metal I love and all that shit like that. That'd be hard as fuck though.
Yeah.
Wherever I'm going, I hope I can take more than like 2 CDs, man.
Of the same band, especially.
I'm gonna have my fucking casket filled with most of my CD collection.
The heavy
And then-
Just get an iPod.
The funny part of that is they're not burying me with it; they're torching me. So it's like, I hope it transfers in the ether. But anyway, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, Floyd. I mean, who else could maybe fit in there? God.
I can't think of the Genesis album that really belongs in the top 3. I think they have like 2 that probably belong in like the top 10, but
Mhm.
not a top 3.
Yeah, I mean, and you could argue that Crimson, while they put out landmark, incredible albums, a lot of their fame and hype was built primarily on, you know, Court of the Crimson King. Yes, they put out a lot of other great albums in between there, but there was some also very, difficult stuff in there. You know, I mean, I love Large Tongue and Aspect, but that is not an easy listen. I mean, not at all. You know, and that's never going to go to the top of the, greatest prog albums. You know, for
Oh, yeah,
Starless was their Starless and Red would be the next 2 that would be
Yeah.
close, but ELP Tarkus, that's
that's not a top 3.
that's not a top 3 for
That's
me.
a top 50.
Probably a top 15, 20 for me, but And Gentle Giant has a lot of great stuff, but they don't. I'm not like that. I don't know. Like I tend to like Octopus. A lot of people like Freehand, and
General Giant's just so consistent
Oh yeah.
until Giant for a day. But
Did you get into them at all, Chuck? You know Gentle Giant much?
Not really. I probably have a song here or there of theirs on a bunch of the tapes that I made back in the day.
Incredible band, man. I mean, that's one. If I were you, I'd try to dig into a little bit. But you like the more spacey, trippy, psychedelic, that kind of stuff, and the prog versus the. I would say the more. What's the word I'm looking for here, Lee?
Well, they have the really like rhythmic, intricate, almost medieval sounding stuff too.
Yeah, it's the way they wrote music, and then there's another band. Now, did all 5 of those guys sing? Is that what I was thinking of?
I mean, yeah, they would probably be the band that had.
I think they did. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I think every guy in that band sang.
Yeah, because I think the drummer does too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Watching them live is amazing.
Oh, Chuck, that's one you should just check out.
I will.
Which one would you suggest to start with, Lee?
I think Octopus is a good starting point.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think that's a great album, dude. I think you'll and I'm trying to think. First song there's Pen Urge, right?
Oh, let me look. I'm bad with song names.
Show Chuck that artwork on that.
The Advent of Panurge. Yeah.
Advent of Panurge. That's
Roger Dean.
Oh, I've seen that album.
Dude, that album is so fucking amazing, man.
The English album cover is really cool too.
Yeah.
I think this is the American version.
Is that the one where it's in the jar?
Yeah, I really like that painting. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Chuck, check out Octopus, man, and report back. I think that may be eye-opening for you in a way where you'll be like, "Whoa, what the hell? How did I miss these guys?" But they were
took me a long time for them to click, though.
Well,
I think they clicked.
They did, but then they ended really quick,
Yeah.
But all right. So, Lee, you gave your thoughts on it. Chuck,
Yeah,
what you got on it, real quick?
Well, I just echo a lot what Lee has to say here, but again, here's another album. The first time I heard it was '78 when I heard the Yes and the Fragile album, and again, one of my roommates had this in his collection, and out of those 3, this is the one that really became one of my favorites really fast. And You and I is just such a classic song, and I associate that song with so many life events of my personal life that it's like forever connected with memories of camping in Big Sur and hanging with good friends and stuff like that. And my first time living on my own, harks back to that. So, again, Roger Dean's artwork and the gatefold of the water running off the edge of the planet was just something that captivated my attention while I listened to these tunes, probably stoned a little bit, and just imagining what kind of world or who thinks of these things, and I think, is it this one where it has the pieces of earth that are landing in the ocean in the distance, or is that
Yeah, I could show it. Pull this thing out.
And on that CD you had there, I had the same thing, Lee, and it's got a picture of the billboard advertising the album. That's pretty cool too.
You have it there? Which one?
I got it right here. Well, I got it right here. Duh.
Oh
now,
yeah,
that's the slipcase one, right? The reissue, right? 2003, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the same copy.
Yep. Has a slipcase.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice reissue that they did there. The only ones that are better, and unfortunately I don't have my stuff to show, but I have sadly only one of the 5.1 D Blu-rays that they put out. That
Steven Wilson.
What's that?
Is it Steven Wilson?
Yeah, Steve Wilson did the mixes on them. Did you get any of those?
No.
Okay, they're amazing. They're fucking amazing.
Of course
but
they are.
I only got Fragile on that one. They come in like a Japanese mini sleeve and really well done. Really, really nice. Yeah, for me, Hang on a sec there. Let me read off some quick notes here. Close to the Edge, love it. Absolute classic, especially the man. I just love the section, the "I Get Up, I Get Down" section. How
Oh,
it
yeah.
builds. Oh, it's so fucking amazing. An amazing track. How it unfolds over 20 minutes. And You and I, the ballad in two parts. Such an amazing song. That Mellotron and steel guitar section is just epic as fuck. Siberian Khatru, another big rousing, feel good finish number to close the album. This is nearly a perfect album. This is a 9.75 for me. This is so close to being my fave, but one other album just beats it out by a smidgen, which I already said. Although, again, I tend to prefer the live versions on Yes songs, even though I doubt they are truly fully live. As a result of the success of this album, the band signed a new 5-year contract with Atlantic. In 1998, the album went platinum by selling 1 million, 26 years after it came out. Is that crazy?
Wow.
Yeah.
In 98, let me read that again. In 1998, the album went platinum by selling 1 million copies, 26 years after it came out. By comparison, Metallica's Black Album has sold 28.3 million albums since it was released in 1991.
Oh my God.
That is fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That sold. It took until 98. So where are we at? 98, 2008, 2008. Okay, so that's 25 years ago. I would
Yeah.
imagine it sold many more copies than that, but I bet you it hasn't sold more than 1.25 million.
That's
You know what I mean?
nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
That is. And how many of those sales are people buying the CD to upgrade, from vinyl?
I have no idea, but that is
You know,
just fucking.
I don't know if
That's
they keep track of that.
Well,
But
it tells you
fucking
why
mon-
Jason Newsted doesn't need to work another day in his life.
Exactly.
He doesn't
exactly.
want to.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll wrap on that album. That's again, I said my number 2 favorite, which with Relayer coming up would be my favorite. And I just want to note that Yes Songs came out May 18th, 1973. First live album consisting of songs from The Fragile and Close to the Edge Tours. 3 LPs, only 3 tracks feature Bruford, the rest are white, mixed and edited by Eddie Offord. And I will show somebody showing that. Who has that one? Anyone?
oh
We're
wait,
talking Tails?
I have the
Well,
album.
I mean this.
There you go.
Oh,
There you
Yes
go.
Songs. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, mine is. Let's see if mine's speed up as yours. Where is it? Fuck.
The trifold, right?
Yeah, mine looks like it's got the same amount of wear and tear as yours.
Yeah, I got a real beat up vinyl copy as well.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody who has a vinyl copy has a beat up one because they fold
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
you know. Spacey.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk at length about this, except for to say that if anyone came to me and said, "Where should I start with?" Yes, it probably would be with this album. And the weird thing is, I'm not generally a live album guy. I don't typically like them that much. Love going to live shows, but I just don't get off on live albums for some reason. This one is the exception to the rule. This is just a fucking amazing album, and all those songs that are great on the studio versions are, in my opinion, much better on Yes songs. So, anybody else have a thought?
Yeah, well, it's where I started with Yes was this live album, and I have to agree that, and some of these songs that I heard later, the studio versions, I just prefer the live versions. And I like live albums in general. I like listening to live bootlegs.
Yeah, I'm weird. I'm weird like that. I just don't. I don't get off on live albums. It's one of those things. This
you're
is just
vanilla and I'm
this
chocolate,
one's-
whatever. It's what you prefer.
Well, this is just an exception to the rule. This album would probably be in my top 25 albums of all time, but there wouldn't be any other live albums. As many great live albums as there are out there.
Yeah.
So, what you got on this one, quickly? Any thoughts, quick?
Well, one thing that I think is worth noting too is like Chuck, type music you normally listen to, from what I understand, there's variations within the songs live. Whereas if we're talking metal, it's like they're trying to do the same song every time, just with energy. So
Mhm.
like that's what makes live albums really interesting to me as well, is when there's an improv quality to it. If there's not,
I agree.
studio all the way.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree. I agree with you. Alan White's more a rock drummer. Bruford's more a jazz guy. Yeah, no doubt.
Sure.
Alan White was a solid drummer, very, very capable. Bill Bruford's kind of his own animal.
100%.
And that's why he's worked with, he's worked with UK, he's worked with
King Crimson.
Crimson.
Yes, he was on. He toured with Genesis one year in '76, I think it was.
That's right. He did that tour for Genesis. Then he's had his own thing. What's it called?
Solo stuff.
Yeah, what's it called? Earth Experience, or what's
Earth something? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
Can't remember.
I remember a title of one of his albums was "Gradually Going Tornado."
I don't remember the name of what it's called. Kevin might know.
I saw him touring that solo album back in 1980, I think it was.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So so it was Bruford with his band. So that was interesting.
All right, so next album up is going to be this little thing called Tales from Topographic Oceans, which came out December 7th, 1973, recorded at Morgan Studios. Yes, and Eddie Offord for producing, and Atlantic again. And this John dreamed up this. Oh, what do I got here? Up this giant conceptual piece to spread over 2 albums. He and Al began developing the material, and Wakeman was not a fan from the start. I will let you guys talk mostly about this album because I struggle with this one a lot. Lee, what you got?
Let's see. So it's based off of Autobiography of a Yogi, or that's it. I'm kind of just really trying to peruse these quick, but I know that it's very Middle Eastern, Indian influence in terms of lyrical concepts. It was almost like there was 2 teams. Like Steve partnered up with John, and like he was really kind of just allowing John to have all these crazy ideas and kind of like enabling him almost, but then feeding into it too. So I think that made it a kind of a divisive, like socially type album. Let's see here. Wakeman's solo career was actually starting to pick up a little bit, so there was probably a little bit of jealousy within the camp as well. Eddie Offord basically lost his mind, working around the clock. I think this is also, might be getting it mixed up, but if I recall right, at about 9 a.m, Eddie packed up the tapes, so the final tapes. Went out to the car.
Yeah.
Nearly got hit by a bus, I believe. So that's nuts. Let's see. Now, getting into the opinions of the album, I want to see what I wrote down here.
Go for it.
I gotta find it. Sorry. Just one sec. So here's my overall input on the album. So if you put it on in the background and you don't pay attention to it, I think it's actually a stronger album.
I agree.
Everything's just too long, but especially the first and the last track, I think they're really good if you just don't focus on it too much. This album would be. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was just going to say they have their moments.
And those moments are great.
Moments, and then not so much.
This album would be so much better if they just cut the ritual out completely. Yeah. It's like such a chore to get through that song. It has no purpose, and it drives me nuts. First half is really good, just overall. The sound of production is amazing. The beginning with the, revealing science of God, I think that's a really cool vocal thing, and it just makes you it reminds me of the fucking tunnel in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when it gets all freaky.
Yeah.
Whenever I hear that, I'm all of a sudden I start getting flashbacks watching the movie. Yep. I'm just gonna say I think it's got some brilliant moments, but man, if you're not in the mood, you just want to rip it out. So background music, and it's actually a lot better that way.
That's very interesting you brought that up, because that I couldn't have honestly said it any better, man. That's crazy. But
Nice.
Chuck, what do you're going to tell us? It's your favorite, right?
No, I like it. I like it a lot. It's not one of my favorites though. But yeah, like Lee was talking about the intro to what was that? The first track,
Revealing Science.
Revealing Science of God, Dance of the Dawn. It's so I just like how that starts too. You're right. That's really the only parts of the whole album that stick with me. I can't really think of any other parts of the album except for Nous sommes du soleil. But yeah, as far as the overall album, if I go to listen to it right now, it's usually just one track, and it's usually the first track, "Revealing Science of God." Although I do have a lot of fond memories of being places and tripping and listening to this. So
I was going to say you got super stoned to this album,
Yeah.
haven't you?
oh God, yeah. But you know what? When I first started listening to it, which was again, it was with those roommates. They, this is the fourth album that they turned me on to, and they also turned me on to Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and Court of the Crimson King. So that was
They just
that was a
ruined your
very
life.
impactful
You
3 months.
You ruined your life.
Yeah, they ruined your life in 5 albums.
So, but listening to this was just like, oh my God, it's just like, okay, there's one song on one side of each of the albums, and there's 4 sides. It's like, where am I going to find the time to listen to this? It just seems so daunting going into that. And I remember at the time I had a stereo in my bedroom, and I would go in there and close the door, and it's like, okay, light a candle or turn down the lights or whatever, and try to get through it. So I always had this approach to it. That's a very difficult album to listen to because you had to be committed to it,
Yep.
But if I had the attitude that you just said, let's just turn it on, have it background music, and maybe wash the dishes or something, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But I made it a task, and I think that kind of tarnished it a lot for me. So, but my buddy, he recorded it, and it was like, hey, you can fit the whole album on a 90-minute tape, and it's like you can. So that's not really that much music. So. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I know that Wakeman didn't enjoy making it, and when I saw him, he was doing a solo tour a couple of years ago before the pandemic, and it was just him on a grand piano on stage. He was just talking about his career, and while they were recording Tales, he would like wander out of the studio, and I forget who it is. There was another artist that was recording in the same studio, and he actually started talking with them and sat in and did some work with them, and I forget who it was. But yeah, he was actually, Wakeman enjoyed working with this other band, this other artist that was in the same studio at the same time recording as was Yes. And I don't know if I heard stories that they were bringing in straw bales and farm animals to set the mood in the studio. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's just fucking over the top as far as that goes. So.
It's always
yeah, I enjoy it.
For the bloated album, it's always the number 1 example.
Yeah.
So what? So what are your number ratings on this one?
Would you have anything else, Chuck?
The artwork that's
artwork.
on this is probably one of Roger Dean's best album artworks. Relayer's pretty good, but I was reading about there's these rock formations. They have faces on them, or it looks like they have faces on them. And I was reading about Dean, and he was talking about he went to various places at various famous rock formations. There were some in England, and he studied like about 7 or 8 different types of formations, and from that he drew inspiration and came up with these rock formations. Album. Wow. So he did some research on his own. I don't think for the album. He was just had an interest, and this is where it ended up. So there's that. Good artwork, music.
Do you have any Roger Dean art books?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he's released a couple. I haven't bought any yet, but I probably will. It's another collection I have.
If there was a time to pick some up, it was Jeff and I were at Nearfest, and Dean had a booth there.
He was there, yeah.
And so he was autographing posters and stuff, and he probably had books. I didn't even look. I bought a box from him that was
He's released a lot in the last 10 years. Cool.
Incredible artist, iconic artist.
Iconic
Oh, yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, my thoughts on this album are it's probably my least favorite of this classic era until we get to the late 70s. I struggle with it. It's a chore to get through, and I never really thought about it like you said, Lee, to do it as a. It's funny the way you said it. I was like so innocently just saying it, but it's like, yeah. After you said it, I'm like, wait a minute, that's pretty fucking brilliant, actually, because that's how I think I could enjoy this album. If it's just in the background, I don't have to focus on it. I like you, Ritual of Terror. That's one of the worst things they ever did. And like you said, Chuck, the most memorable moment from this album for me is the Nous sommes du Soleil part.
Mhm.
It just this for some reason they unleashed the epic, and it didn't live up to the same standards as Close to the Edge, and then they came back around with the next album. But a lot of these tracks just meander and wander, and they're very, I don't know, they're just difficult to listen to and get into. Not
It's
my
kind of
favorite album.
pastoral.
I'd honestly give it like a 3.5.
That's exactly what I gave it. 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
All right, who's got Relayer? Both got it? Okay. You got the slipcase, Lee?
Yep.
That's a nice version they did too. I have that one, and then I have the 5.1 of it too.
Oh, nice.
Probably my personal favorite artwork. Love the snakes. I love the knight and the way everything's curved.
Mm-hmm.
The way that curvature is so important, I think, to the picture. Or to the artwork.
Yeah, specifically this pillar right there. Yeah, that one really. There's something about that shape.
So cool. Who wants to go first on talking about it? Go ahead, Chuck. Let her rip.
This is an album by Yes called Relayer. And I actually forgot that I had this album in '77. And I forget how I stumbled on this, but I had bought this album and I had it in heavy rotation, and it's almost every night I was listening to this when I get off of work. I was working a swing shift 4 to midnight, and the other 2 albums that I had at the time that were complementing this was Kraftwerk's Audubon and Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen. So it was one of those 3 albums that I was playing when I got home from work. And it was also
fucking classics there. 3 classics.
Yeah. So the favorite song on this is the last song for me, To Be Over. I just love the guitar playing on that, and the recording is just so crisp, and it's just, oh my god. I mean, it's
got the down, 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 down.
Yeah.
Down, 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 down. It's the what is it? Help me out here. Fucking A. Not the tabla, but the sitar.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, the tabla is a drum. So the sitar sounding, and then that just like that choral vocals going out of that, to end the album. It's just so serene and calm, and it made it very hard to get out of the armchair to flip the album over. But the title track, the opening track, Relayer, or The Gates of Delirium. Lou Fisher once said that Relayer was like the material that should have been on Close to the Edge, or was material that they didn't fit on Close to the Edge, and they created a whole other album, Relayer, with that. So I think he had something there with that idea. Although I would have to say that the music on Relayer is not similar to what you find on Close to the Edge.
No.
Especially Sound Chaser. That jazzy chord thing that mutates out of the cha 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 for the first guitar solo,
Cha 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 cha.
and then they it's almost like the band loses control of the sounds. Everything starts mutating and warping and twisting, and then it kind of comes back into dun dun. I mean, yeah, it's just a fucking superb, great album. This is one of my favorites for sure. And the playing on this is just fantastic. Moraz, who I never heard of that guy before, but he just fit in so well, and he probably was a breath of fresh air. Him coming in to replace Wakeman, because I think Wakeman just kind of tainted the thing when he, tainted himself as far as being in the band, just not wanting to be part of it.
We just mentioned it. We forgot to mention that Patrick Moraz joined. And man, he brought an amazing element to the band that sadly didn't last very long, which we'll get to here shortly. But yeah, as I said, this is my favorite album, not by much, just by a skosh. But this album is just. I'll have some notes, but go ahead, Lee.
Well, can I add just one more thing? The break in Gates of Delirium, and that soundscape that just everything just disappears, and then out of that comes that slide guitar going into Soon.
You're talking about Soon.
Yes.
Soon section.
Soon passage.
The most beautiful section of music ever written in the entire world.
You're taking the words out of my mouth. And yeah, I hear that and I tear up. And it's just like, oh my, give me a moment.
That I think I told you this one night we were talking about it back when I was digging back in. And I said, dude, I absolutely forgot how incredibly gut-wrenchingly beautiful yet sad that section of Gates of Delirium is, the Soon section.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fucking epic. It is fucking epic. That it's just like, and then John just goes to the atmosphere with his vocals. That. Yeah. I can't even get close to it, but absolutely. Wow, that took some of my thunder from what I was going to say. Maybe Lee too, but go ahead, Lee. What you got?
A couple of interesting facts. So when they were doing auditions, they actually auditioned Vangelis.
That's right.
Which I thought was kind of funny. That didn't really fit in.
He just died like a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, he did. He did recently.
Yeah, 2 months ago, maybe.
Part of the reason this album sounds the way it does is because a lot of the guys were listening to Mahavishnu Orchestra.
That's right.
So that really plays into that. In terms of go ahead.
I say that influence is evident in Sound Chaser.
For sure, yeah. The playing's pretty nuts. This is kind of where Steve Howe sometimes goes a little over the rails for me, but like the instrumental battle scene in Gates of Delirium is pretty awesome. I think it's really innovative and just has a very cinematic quality. It gets you. I remember driving, listening to this song. It's like I feel like I'm like, I don't know, driving like a
in the middle
evil cartoon or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, cinematic. That's the most amazing word for that Soon section. It's just so epic,
Yeah,
and to be over too has that cinematic quality.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Jeff, to your point too, with the album artwork. So this is actually Roger Dean's favorite of his pieces as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He originally, I remember seeing like a picture because I was just researching and stuff, and it was an early like sketch, and it was pretty cool. It looked more like I don't know, more amateurish, but like it kind of reminded me of like a early mid or like a late '60s band. So opinions on the songs. Gates of Delirium, I think it's awesome. I do like Close to the Edge quite a bit more, and I might actually like Awaken a little bit more in terms of the epics, just a little bit. Definitely carries the album. Here's where we might disagree a bit. Sound Chaser to me is a little too spastic. I think it goes a little too far into wankery, and just it kind of loses me sometimes. I think it's got good playing. It's just a little too unhinged sometimes. And
I
then
agree
To
with
Be
that.
Over, I feel like it's like this masterful, mature, like peaceful dirge. It's such an interesting way to end such a chaotic album.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. That's no, and I kind of agree with your take on Sound Chaser. It's the one song on there that seems like it's just on the verge of crashing all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree that Close to the Edge. Honestly, I like it a smidge better than Gates of Delirium. Just that much, not maybe wider for you. The problem I have is that Soon section is probably my favorite section of music ever, anywhere on the planet. Um, you know,
It's beautiful.
in fact, depending on what happens to me, that may be what's playing in the background. So, anyway, that that section of that song and To Be Over just take it that one little notch over and You and I and Siberian. And actually, it's probably Siberian that probably is the one song that, for me, lets down Close to the Edge just enough that Relayer notches past it. Relayer for me is a 4.95. So, just a fucking masterful album. And we did mention that, again, that Patrick Moraz was brought in to fill up the vacancy that Rick Wakeman took. And I think it was basically a mutual thing, right? Like, it wasn't like they fired Wakeman or he
No.
quit, right? It was like, look, he's doing that and we're gonna just keep going.
Yeah.
So we'll get somebody else to play. What's next? We got, I believe, going for the one.
Naked
Let me
Man.
let me give you a couple quick notes on while you show it there. This came out in
July 15th, 1977.
there you go, July 15, 1977. So yesterday was recorded at Mountain Studios in Montreux. It was produced and Atlantic. And after they took a extended break after relay tours, decided to do solo albums. They became exiles in Switzerland after the 76 tour, decided to record at Mountain Studios. Mraz was left go due to his lack of interest and involvement in the new material, but he contends there were games being played by Howe, Squire, and John Anderson. Wakeman was invited to play as a session member, but quickly was added as a full-time member after they got so much good material going after versus a few years earlier. They'd matured. This is the first time they departed from Dean with artwork and went with Hypnosis. So, what's got on this one, Lee?
I'm just gonna go right into the songs.
Yep.
What? Oh, never mind. But going for the one really kicks into gear with kind of a Zeppelin-esque kind of guitar line. I love the register John is singing on this one. I feel like he doesn't sing in like this exact kind of style and upper register that often, even though he has a high pitch. It almost reminds me. I wrote down. Maybe I'm like out of left field on this, but some of his vocal parts kind of remind me of child recordings of Michael Jackson. I don't know why, but it just like for some reason hits the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Just I don't know. Try to hear it. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not. Perfect blend of accessibility and depth in this song. I think there's a lot of cool, intricate layers, but it's still catchy. Next song, and I also put very cool and unique keyboard sounds. Turn of the Century, maybe a bit long and sleepy, but I do like the atmosphere and keys. Good mood setter, ballady song, great understated playing. Parallels, keys take the front focus, cool groove and interplay. Like the Oregon, brings the Gothic church to mind. John's melodies aren't quite as strong. Wondrous Stories, great one to highlight. John's sense of songwriting and melody. Really like this song for this era. It brings back like feelings from the Yes album. There's more like a little more vocal focused, maybe. And then Awaken. See, this is my second favorite Yes epic. I love the urgency of the
Beautiful
groove at
song.
the beginning. It sounds like it's more rooted in Western religion, choirs, organs, rather than Eastern, which is kind of more like Topographic Oceans and Relayer. And then great production on this album. So I think Awaken, really beautiful keys, especially, and then vocals. So that's my take on the album. I like it a lot.
What you got, Chuck?
The church organ that was used in this was at a church. Just looking at the liner notes here, and I heard a interview with Wakeman. Actually, the whole band at Jim Ladd's living room program down in KOLOS LA, and they were talking about the making of the writing of Awaken, and that the organ, which was located across town at St. Martin's, they patched in a phone line to record, the church organ from the studio. And Wakeman makes they make the comment that the telephone lines were really good in Switzerland back then in '77 because they couldn't bring the church organ. They couldn't bring the church organ into the studio, and I don't think the church would allow the recording studio to go into the church with all the recording equipment. So that was the next best thing, is to telephone it in, and they did, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy.
That this is the final product of that. It's like, gosh. But I'm with you, Lee. Awaken is one of my all-time favorite songs by Yes, as far as the epic goes.
Beautiful.
The lyrics, the movements in that. This was a song that was I first listened to when I got news my mom passed away. I put this on, so that's who I always remember when I hear this for some reason. But the same church organ is also used in Parallels as well. I had no idea that the guitar work in Going for the One was actually played on slide guitar until I saw Yes live later that, when they toured this album, and that was in October '78, October '77 when I saw them, and first time I saw them blew me away. The second track on this, the Turn of the Century, I had a roommate that had this album, and when he would come and hang out with me and put this album on, he would listen to Going for the One, go over, pick up the needle, put it over to Parallels, play that. He would skip that song all the time. But I love it. I love the work on it and the story that goes about the sculpture. Creating his work, totally got into that. And then the Wondrous Stories is I love the stripped down acoustic vibe to that song for sure. But Awaken's the one that took me a while to get it, but it's like up there. It's one of my all-time favorites, and it's a sentimental one as well. So. And all right, the first time that Hypnosis gets involved with Yes, and they put this naked man on the cover.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that, but
the interesting thing is, I didn't realize this until just recently, but they beat Rush to the naked guy concept. That was the big thing. 77, 78, put a naked dude's ass somewhere.
I was about to say something.
I think Rush is a little more artistic, but just from the sheer setting of it. But so what do you guys give it?
Let me look at what I put. I gave Relayer a 4, and I gave Going for the One 4.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I go 4.5 with that on Going for the One. It's one of my all-time favorite albums.
All right. Well, let me I'll keep us here, and I'll read off my quick. Wait a minute. No, I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah, we don't want to see you close up.
Some quick notes on this. Going Going for the One is a great opening track. It's both proggy and poppy at the same time. Always love that tune. Turn of the Century is a gorgeous ballad with great vocals, stellar piano and guitar work on it. Parallels is a nice proggy modern track. Wonder Story is a nice ballad, although not my fave song as it has a radio-ness to it that I'm not as into as the other John songs. Awaken is the massive proggy epic ballad and is breathtakingly beautiful at points, especially the church organ section, which Chuck told you about with the telephone line. Just an amazing tune, very solid album from beginning to end. But the first two tracks, no wait, the first two and last track are the high points. Production is the only major negative. For me, I think that it sounds flat on this whole thing. I don't know why, but it just does to me. I give it an 8 out of 10, which I guess would be a 4 out of 5. Next up.
Also, the one note on Awaken, that's when John is playing harp. It's the first time I ever heard him play.
Oh, okay.
So,
Anyone got Tormato? I have the album, but you got it? Okay. Put it up there quick, and I will belt out some facts here. Tormato came out September 22nd, 1978. Recorded at RAK Studios, Advision. Produced by Yes and came out Atlantic, number 8 in the UK, and number 10 in the US. Fastest sales to 1 million, primarily due to Don't Kill the Whale. Originally planned to be a 2-part album called 11th Illusion, but both ideas were abandoned. Eddie offered had left production, and he returned only to quit during the recording of Future Times and Rejoice. Let me come back to you guys. What you got on this one, Lee?
All right, so I basically avoided this album until I was assigned doing this deep dive, to be honest. I'd obviously heard Don't Kill the Whale, but I just heard that it's not an essential Yes album, and if you got all the other ones, why even listen to it? So I actually listened to this one probably more than any of the other ones because I want to get familiar with it, and I think it's better than a lot of people say it is.
I agree.
I actually kind of enjoyed it quite a bit. Let's see here. Future Time Rejoice. Strong opener. Would have fit in just fine on Going for the One. Don't Kill the Whale. Weird concept and lyrics, but it's a better song than I remember. Pretty stupid video. Wakeman's playing at time reminds me of Supertramp with like the staccato piano jabs.
Yeah.
And then I think Howe gets a little too busy in the verse, and he's kind of combating the attention of John and the vocals. That would be one critique.
Mhm.
Madrigal, good John-centric song, not bad. I like the Spanish and classical influence. Release, pretty good track.
I like that
Kind of-
song.
Yeah, kind of above average. Kind of reminds me of an attempt at storytelling focus, kind of like Trick of the Tail by Genesis. Not bad. Arriving UFO. Apparently that's a song everybody hates. And for some reason, I don't hate as much as everybody else. I think it's okay. It kind of sticks in my head. I wouldn't skip it, but I do understand why it would be kind of grating if you're not in the right mood. Very weird synth sounds.
Mhm.
Circus of Heaven. I don't hate this song, but I get why people would. Kind of reminds me of Strolling Through a Park, kind of like Billy Joel, but psychedelic. I kind of like it. And I've put a bunch of weird thoughts on that. Onward, really like the pacing of the song. On Silent Wings of Freedom, terrible key songs, but I do like the steady upbeat groove. I've heard the song better, but it's not terrible. Kind of feels copy and pasted at times. So it's a big letdown because Yes usually has strong closers. I think that's my biggest point with the last song is they really do consistently have good closers.
Yeah.
So I think it's a decent album. It's almost like it's a sum better than its parts. Because you take one song individually and it doesn't really stand out that much. That's it.
Man, sounds like we were reviewing the exact same album. You'll hear that in a minute. But Chuck, what you got?
Yeah, I'd have to say after Awaken or Going for the One, I was disappointed with this album. Starting with the artwork, a tomato
Yeah.
thrown against a pitcher, and for my entire life, I thought these were drumsticks that are on the cover here. Those are divining rods.
Oh yeah, they are.
So I didn't know that until like 3 months ago. When I was
So what's a divining rod?
divining rods are used to find water underground.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So apparently they point to the ground when you're standing over a source of
That's
water.
why it's in like the desert.
It's a little bit of a.
I guess I don't know.
I don't know whether it's real or not. I mean, it
It's
seems,
it's almost like a not an urban legend, old wives'
Yeah.
tale, perhaps.
no, it is. It is.
I don't know if it's I wouldn't
But
hire somebody to
allegedly-
go out.
But allegedly, there is some science to it, and there's some reality to it. But I always look at it and go, "Come on, are you serious?"
There's better ways to find water these days, I think.
It's like when you see a guy do a magic trick, and you're like, "God damn it! There's no way that's fucking possible." You know what I mean? That's what you say when you see the water.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same concept. It's magic. But I love this photo included here in this remastered or this reissued CD with bonus tracks. That's the shot of the stage that was in the round.
Playing in the round, I was going to say, yep.
Yeah,
That's cool.
so they played in the round for this tour, and yeah, it was pretty cool. The songs themselves, though, yeah, there's just re-release is probably the rocker, if I'm going to call it that, on this one. I do like Circus of Heaven. I like the concept of this circus with all this amazing images of history coming to life. The UFO song, I do like that one too, much more than "Don't Kill the Whale." I don't remember hearing "Don't Kill the Whale" on the radio. It's probably the single that they released off of this. But overall, it was just kind of a big disappointment, letdown. But hey, they're still the band, yes, and I still love the guys, and I still will listen to them and I'll support them, which I do and I did back then. So. But I just thought this one, from the artwork to the songwriting, they just could have done better.
Yeah.
But I thought when we talked about this, you said this one was better than you remembered it being. That
Yeah, it is. But again, when I first heard it in '78, I did,
it was a
I had all these
disappointment.
other
then.
albums that I've been listening to.
No, but I mean, well, okay. So my question is more pointedly, it was a disappointment when it came out. It didn't live up to the expectation you set for it with going for the one. But now that you've gone back and listened to it, has it aged better with you or no?
No, it's about the same, I'd say.
About the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Nah,
It's out of all the albums I have of theirs, it's not one I'm pulling out and listening to
okay. I got you.
by any means. Why I bought
Let me
this?
give you Go ahead.
I was just going to say why I bought this album. I really don't remember if I was just trying to complete the catalog, but I don't have a couple of other albums, so I don't know why it's in my collection now.
Oh,
Anyway.
I see. I got you. Let me throw my thoughts up quick on this one. And like Lee, this one, number 8 in the UK, number 10 in the US, the fastest selling to 1 million, primarily because it's "Don't Kill the Whale." Let me see what I put this at. Okay, all right. This one is sort of maligned a lot, and I just, when I listened to it, I think went back to it. I was, for the first time in many, many years, probably 15, maybe even 20 years. I was like, well, this isn't as bad as I remembered. "Don't Kill the Whale," obvious single, great tune, despite the cheesy synths. Cheesy and the sound was very 80s. Oh, for that, it's very 80s sounding, cheesy synth. "Magical's" a really cool little ballad, John piece, although again the synths harpsichord is a bit busy and cheese, but nice classical guitar by Hal on this tune. Release, kind of a cheesy track. That lead synth line not pleasing in the 80s. but the chorus is admittedly catchy and the vocals are great. But the fake applause and drum solo, please, no. Arriving USO, kind of a weird track, and again, a lot of Wakeman's choices for synth on this album just they didn't age well. Goofy songs and very John sounding. Goofy song, very John sounding, not horrible, just sort of silly overall. Again, Rick's synth are somewhat annoying. Circus of Heaven is pretty lame, just massively cheesy, and the lyrics are typical John Goofy John. Fairy dust and pixies and fantasy silliness. What's the last track? Onward, right?
On Silent Wings of
Silent
Freedom.
Wings of Freedom.
Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. Onward is a pretty cool track. Dreamy and ambient, lots of juicy melodies and harmonies. That's a great tune. Onward might be my favorite track on there. Kind of dig the jammy intro into Silent Wings of Freedom. It's loose and funky and fluid with lots of nice soloing by Hal. Squire and White. This is Christ, I can't read my notes. Looks like I might have been falling asleep when I was writing these notes. Yeah, I don't know. It's a decent track. Tormado's not an awful album, although there's plenty of cheesy hooks and pretty moments and tons of Hal soloing, filling every space with his style of accents and fills. The songs aren't bad. It's just that they are kind of stuck between these stages of becoming a radio pop hit and the old Dino prog band.
Yep.
I do think this one is a little unfairly maligned, but they rarely ever play songs off of it live since it was released. And of course, John and Rick again left. How Squire and White.
You're talking about
Hal,
drama now. You're getting ahead of
sorry.
yourself, dude.
What's that?
Howell and Wakeman are on Tormato.
Yeah, I didn't say they weren't.
Yeah, it just means like when they were going to tour
Oh,
it.
I misheard. Never mind. Misheard.
Yeah. I give this a 6.5 out of 10. And that's probably a little generous, maybe. So what was 6.5? Geez, I can't. Probably this might be like a 3.25 for me.
That's exactly what I gave it. I gave
Yeah.
it 3.25.
Yeah, I just it's approaching a 3. It's pretty close. All right, so does somebody have Drama? I have both Tormato and Drama and album OG copies, but I don't feel like can't see them here anyways. Do you have the remaster with all the bonus tracks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got like
Really
5 or
good
6.
copy.
Yeah. I have both that and the original Drama copy. And Drama was probably one of the very first CDs I ever bought. I'm not sure why, but it just was. Let me give you a factoid or two quick on it. Came out October 18th, 1980. Recorded at Advision, RAK, SARM East. Oh shit! I didn't. Who produced that? Was it Yes or was it Trevor?
Trevor Horn, didn't he? He
Horn.
produced it and performed.
I think it was Trevor Horn. I didn't write that down for some strange reason. And
So it says sound produced by Bill Inglot.
Oh, Bill Inglot. Okay. Oh, interesting.
Well, and backing tracks produced by Eddie Alford.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Now, so at the end of the Tormato era, John and Rick split. John's doing the solo thing. He's working with Vangelis. He's got all kinds of other things going on. And Rick always had a solo career and always had a studio career. So I mean, he could name and do whatever the hell he wanted. You know what I mean? So they bring in two guys from the very first video that was ever on MTV. Very first video I think ever produced for music was from the Buggles, which included a guy named Trevor Horn on vocals and bass and a guy named Jeff Downs on keyboards. And they had a song called Video Kill the Radio Star.
Yep.
And I like that track, but that was the very first MTV video played after Leap, I think.
You're correct.
I thought so. And they pulled, these two guys were like big time, like studio dudes, and they brought them in to replace two very hard to replace guys. And Lee, what do you want to say about this factoid wise and track wise?
So that album that came out much later called Fly From Here, they were actually writing that material during this album phase as well, that
Wow.
We Can Fly From Here.
Oh,
And
I
it
didn't know
actually
that.
originally was a Buggles song that was deemed too long to record. So it's kind of nuts how that song progressed.
How about that?
Yeah, I'll just kind of get right into the song just 'cause it's getting a little late. First of all, I do overall love this album. It's also one that I probably grab for more than a lot of the other ones just because it's so different and has that pop element to it. And it's like a unique pop. Kind of like, I don't know, kind of reminds me, there's moments that kind of remind me of what Peter Gabriel's doing. More like they're in the same kind of arena. But Machine Messiah, there's no other song in the Yes catalog that sounds like it. It's like a heavy metal song.
Yep.
Very unique. Some of the vocal lines I'm not as crazy about, but man, this song's just super cool and heavy and love it.
My
Man in
absolute number one favorite fucking Yes track is Machine Messiah.
Really?
Over Close to the Edge, over Awaken, over.
It's awesome.
I fucking love that song. I love the heaviness. It's the only what you would call metal track, like you said, of Yes. I mean, for once, Steve uses a heavily overdriven sound, but man, dude, the really haunting acoustic sections, Machine Messiah, a search for. Oh my God, those just are so fucking badass. And then show me the strength of your singular eye, and then just
Yeah.
so fucking badass, man. That track just rules.
That's the thing, is like there's no other Yes album like this one.
There isn't.
This one's so different than all the other ones.
And it's my third favorite Yes album of the whole catalog.
I can understand why. It's so cool. Man in a White Car, it's like a really cool little interlude. It almost reminds me of like a poem turned into a song with a really good vocal part. Doesn't Really Happen. Love the bass part to kick off the song. Cool synth sounds. The Buggles influence is pretty strong, but like really interesting arrangement. Doesn't really, I talked about that. Into the Lens, kind of dated lyrics, but I love the vibe of the song. Run Through the Light, good song. There really aren't any weak tracks on this album. It's very consistent.
Nope.
And then Tempest Fugit, it's like arena prog at its finest. And then I put, it would work well in like an 80s racing game. Like I could play like Mario Kart or something. This.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Killer track, dude. There are some chops on that song all over.
Oh, yeah.
That line down, just so fucking good.
And there's the right amount of variation too. Some of those, the like linkage parts between the verse and the chorus, they put different elements in them. That one part.
Yep.
So like they do have those really nice variations, kind of like what later bands like Between the Buried and Me would do to like make all those little connection parts really stand out.
I mean, you could argue that this is their first attempt at pop, and it's there for sure. However, every one of the songs, with the exception of Man in a White Car, is 8, 10, 6, 7 minutes. I think the shortest song is Through the Light, right? Or wait,
True Songs.
Or Does It Really Happen?
I think it might be Does It Really Happen?
Well,
I have to look.
White Car is a minute and a half long.
Yeah, but that's just a little interlude.
That one.
Yeah.
So. But this is them trying to become pop, but still remaining pretty proggy. Yeah, whereas 90125, you could say the exact opposite happened.
Definitely.
If you get what I'm saying with that, and we'll get to that in a minute. We're almost there. Yeah, I mean, how about you, Chuck? What you got on this one?
Well, I got the. I don't have the CD version. I got the album.
Nice.
So that's what I got.
Nice.
Actually, I had this originally, when it came out, it's what I bought because they didn't have CDs back when this was released. I don't believe, not mass produced.
That's up to date.
So I'm curious if what the bonus tracks were on this.
Yeah, what actually what are they? What are they? I have that one, but what are they, Lee?
Have we really got to go through this? Some song called Song Number 4, Satellite. There's a song called Dancing Through the Light, Golden Age, In the Tower, and Friend of a Friend. A lot of these being previously unreleased.
Okay.
So yeah, that's actually a lot of bonus tracks. And I maybe just because I was listening on Spotify and not through my CD player, I don't really recall any of those songs. Just the album proper ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't listened to them with the same regularity of the other ones because I just got that maybe like I don't know 3-4 years ago, and I will tell you though, of all the albums, man, this one is one that I reach for a lot, like possibly even more than my two favorites.
Yeah, same.
Because it's just so immediate. It's just I get my super prog fill with Into the Lens and Machine Messiah, but then I get a really, really cool pop vibes from the other songs that just scratch an itch. I mean, I even hear a little bit of Tears for Fears in some of the vocal stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe or vice versa. Like they got some influence from TFF, and TFF got some influence from them. Because like you say, Buggles. I think the Buggles were 79 when they put that song out, right? I believe it was 79.
Sounds
Probably
right.
didn't, but I don't think MTV started till 80. I could be wrong.
1980s when MTV kicked off. Yes.
Right.
Correct.
But they filmed that. They filmed that in '79. That video killed the radio star thing, I believe.
Well, this album
what
for
else,
me.
Chuck? What else, Chuck? Anything else?
Well, yeah, I hated this album when it came out because it wasn't. To me, it wasn't Yes because of the two new guys in there, and for me, John Anderson was the voice of Yes, and to replace him with somebody else was sacrilegious. And I didn't like this album. I saw the tour, so it was the fourth time I'd seen Yes, and they were in the round again, and it just the onstage presence of Trevor Horn was one of that. He was uncomfortable in that role, filling in.
Oh yeah.
And it was, it was like that all night long, where he was just like kind of looking over the top of his glasses at the audience, like, you guys gonna start throwing shit at me or what? So it was, it was for me, it was just a big letdown. Now revisiting it years later, and then hearing, even back in the 90s, there was a prog radio show that I listened to, and I really admired the radio DJ. It's the reason I have a lot of the albums I do is because of this man. And he plays drama quite frequently, and I hear it, and it's like, oh yeah, that Yes song. What's that album again? It's like drama. Oh, I got to go back and reassess my value on that. I just was hurt by the fact that the members had left. Wakeman and Anderson had left, so I didn't really give it a chance. But it is a solid album for sure. So I agree that that the music on this is unlike anything else, and I was not welcoming to that back then in 1980 when I heard it. But I wish I had. I kind of missed out on all that time. I'm not enjoying this record. So, and this copy that I got here, I just picked up last year. So,
all right,
nice.
Yeah.
Was it new or used?
I found it at a used record store up
in
Central Valley, up where my property is. So,
well, let me hit my notes quick on this one, and actually, you know what? I read my notes. Yeah, man. I mean, Tempest Fugit, the way that thing starts out.
what's wrong?
Whoa. Just fucking killer. Just killer. Every song on here, but I can't reiterate or say it more forcefully. Machine Messiah is just a fucking monster epic track. It is so good. It's so weird. I'll never forget when I heard this because I bought this in 9th grade. And I put this on and I'm like, what? Like I heard the crunchy, riffy guitars. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And
Whole
I
putting
loved
it
it.
first track.
But I
Mhm.
loved it though because I loved a lot of metal during that period, or what became, like Judas Priest, Maiden, and all that stuff. But it threw me, man. It was like, whoa, what the hell is that? But then, as the track builds and the, da, 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 just an incredible, incredible album. So again, I think it probably gets more airplay than the two biggies. All right, so I didn't actually write down any info on this. So Chuck, can you look up or unless you have it, Lee, do you have the release date info on 90125?
90125. It's buried in here somewhere.
I just pulled it up. So 90125
Yeah.
released 7 November 1983.
Okay. Now in the interim, basically Yes became very fractious at this point in time because from
Asia.
from 80 through 83, Steve Howe, basically Yes kind of became non-existent. The only member of Yes was really Chris Squire.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Howe went on and joined
Asia.
John Wetton and Carl Palmer and Jeff Downs also went with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they formed Asia, and quite frankly, that 82 Asia album, fuck anybody that says that isn't a brilliant album. I love that fucking album. So kiss my ass. I'll go to my grave with that album. Especially just for the song Wildest Dreams. That song fucking rules, man. It's pop, it's prog, it's
Oh God,
fucking awesome. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I-
if you're
I-
Lead of the moment's right.
it's pop, it's prog, and it was all the things I didn't like about that.
Well-
It was tarnishing the good name of prog.
Boo hoo. Boo hoo, motherfucker.
That's right. I was just so resistant to change. They can't
Have
do
you
that.
tried it since then? Have you tried to listen to it?
Oh, I had the album.
Oh yeah.
And, I saw him. I saw him play live, man. They were
Of course you
mind
did.
blowing. Of course, yeah. These are like my rock idols. I mean, Carl Palmer, come on. Howl on guitar. I mean, it was a super group. It was like one of the first super groups in the time. So,
and then what we had left is we had Chris and we had John, and I guess was Alan with them? And Yes, or was
Alan? Yeah, was still in. With
okay.
them.
So it was Alan. Now it was Alan, John, and
Rabin.
Right, and they decided to carry on the Yes name, and they added a guy named Trevor Rabin, who was South African, I believe. Who was in what was the band he was in? Do you guys know that one?
What that Raven came from?
Yeah,
Cinema.
And
Kevin has it up right here.
kind of a very different player than Steve Howe in a lot of ways, I would say. And who was the keyboardist?
It was Return of K. You thought you got rid of him back there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Tony K.
the second album. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Tony K came back for
Tony
90125?
K is on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on.
Boy, is he glad he did that? Holy shit!
Yep.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And they were working with Trevor Horn in the studio.
That's right.
So
That's right.
there's a lot of history on this one.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
in Bruford Wickman Hill.
Go ahead, Lee. Oh, that's all you got? You said?
Oh, I'm just going through the history a little bit.
All right,
I
so-
mean, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so 1983, I'm a junior in high school. Chuck, you're probably out a couple years on me here already. You're out probably.
I got this album on my 25th birthday.
Okay, you were 25. I was 18. Yeah, that makes sense. And And this was, Owner of a Lonely Heart, MTV's superstardom. The video has nothing to do with the song, though. It's
No,
fucking
it didn't.
weird.
It's don't try to figure that out.
Yeah.
They don't sync.
That song, Owner of a Lonely Heart, was like, their next Roundabout in a way, because it probably was their, I'd have to look. It might be their biggest hit, I guess. As far
it's their
as,
number one.
Yeah. And you just couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. And, for the 80s, it sounded very cutting edge, very technologically advanced. It was, they were using the Fairlight on there, that sample, that thing that, you didn't hear that before. And it was like,
Well, hold on a second here. Fairlight was used on Drama, on White Car, or
was it?
I don't know if it was used on it, but I was reading that Jeff Downs was.
You're probably right.
Fairlight.
You're probably right. That was
It
about
came up with that
78,
song.
79. And I know like Pat Metheny was using a Fairlight in like 78, 79. So, but
I couldn't tell you what it sounds like. But
that was just a super prominent moment for it.
okay.
And what you guys want to throw in on this one so we can wrap up?
So like, first of all, don't watch this tour live. That's terrible.
Is it really?
Dude, it's just so bad. I mean, it's hilarious because, like, I mean, literally, you just got to watch it. But, first of all, Alan White standing up playing electronic drums.
Right
John
away,
Anderson looks like, kind of like Rod Stewart, but, like, more yuppie-ish. And it's just, like, they just look terrible. Like, it's just bad. I will say, I think the best parts of this album are the Trevor Rabin aspects, like the parts that he basically invents. He basically wrote "Owner of a Lonely Heart." I think I watched a video where basically Trevor Horn was just listening to a tape cassette of all his demos and then stopped on "Owner of a Lonely Heart." He's like, "That's the one," and Trevor Rabin never thought anything of it. "Hold On," I think it's a good, catchy song.
Great song.
Not too cheesy. I like the full production in it. It Can Happen, kind of awkward phrasing of the lyrics. Not my favorite song. Changes, I like this song. I feel like there's good passion on it. Cinema, super 80s interlude track. Cool, but not essential. Leave It. I kind of hate this song, but I also love it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Very late 80s Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Very cringe live.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. And really, it just kind of loses steam at the end of the album. I feel like it's the first record that feels like a collection of songs instead of a cohesive album, and it doesn't sound like Yes. I mean, to me, it's just it's a whole different band. They just use the Yes name because it's gonna be easier to sell.
Yeah, so exactly.
It basically revived them completely, though. I mean, they were completely dead. So
yeah,
it's very interesting from a historical standpoint.
Yeah, that's great points you made there. They were dead. They were super dead.
Because of drama.
Yeah. Which Drama is so highly regarded, but the tour did not go well. Like Lee mentioned, it did not go well. And then, I believe you're right, Lee. I believe Trevor didn't want to be a live performer. And, that kind of shut that down. And then somewhere along the line, Howell gets the call, Howell or Wetton get the call to go to Asia, and it's like, it's almost, they had a multi-million-dollar budget already assured. It was crazy. So they were, that was really a super group. And to my eyes, a lot of the super groups don't work out, but that one really did that first album. And even the second album's good. Then they get Astra, I think is okay, and then it becomes a product, and I think it's still just Jeff Downs, right? Is that his band mainly?
I don't keep up with Asia.
But so Owner of a Lonely Heart, it's a unique song in a lot of ways. Nothing super complicated, but the recording, it's a studio thing is what it is, and it's a studio creation. It's brilliant.
Really cool arrangement.
Changes, I love that song. That's a really fucking cool song.
I agree. That's a
dark.
Good song.
Yeah, that's a Trevor Rabin song. I mean, all the way through. It's just dark, but it's got the uplifting sort of. I mean, the chorus is da 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 changes. It's just it's cool, man. That's really well done. Leave It. I'm like you. It's like, man, I fucking hate this song, but but when it's on, you don't turn it and you fucking sing it. One down, two to go.
Yeah.
Let another show. And you're just like, God damn it! I hope nobody's fucking looking at me in the car now.
Kids, put your cameras away.
Hold On, that's kind of the other second hit on there. It's a good tune. It's a good tune. It's if I had to pick my favorite like Hold On track though, it's Triumphs by far, a million times over. If you know, you know. Anyway, if I think I'm trying to think of any of the other songs on there. What else was on there?
Cinema, the interlude, It Can Happen. And then the thing is, the last three songs I think kind of suck.
I'm trying to think.
Song, City of Love and Hearts.
I like it. It Can Happen. That's a good tune. But like you said, the album kind of loses steam at the end. It just kind of dribbles at the end,
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, it's still an album that I own, and I won't get rid of because I have a nostalgic attachment to it because I was in high school and lots of cool and not so cool things were happening, but there was a lot going on, and life seemed like I was going to live forever. Yeah. Anyway,
we all were in high school, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it's very nostalgic for me. Beyond that, I guess what we could say, Lee, have you stuck with any of the the more current era of stuff?
Yeah. I pretty much always check them out just to see. So a couple of highlights for me. Let's see. I think I only have these two. I had some other copies, but I got rid of them. But I actually think Fly From Here is pretty good. And then
is that the new one?
No, this one's from 2000. I don't know, 11. Yeah,
okay. It's
pretty good. Especially because the main track is from the drama era, so that's why it's good. And then this album I like love and hate at the same time. So
yeah, I have that on tape, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure I ever listened to it all the way through.
Some of the songs are terrible, and some of the moments are terrible, but like, I don't know. I find it endearing for some reason.
I have Union somewhere too on tape, I believe, which was all of them, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like Raven and
I've heard that's pretty bad.
It's really bad, man. I mean, oh god, the hit track off of it or whatever, the lead single. Oh god. It's just sappy, cheesy. Don't get me wrong. John Anderson, I really, assuming he really is the guy that you see in interviews and just on stage, I mean, assuming that's really who he is, he's not some homicidal freak behind closed doors. He seems like he's one of the nicest human beings on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm. But a friend of mine, to echo that, a friend of mine lives near Santa Maria. I think that's where Anderson lives, Central California. Right. And he was at there in San Luis Obispo. There's a farmer's market every Thursday, and it occupies like 5 downtown streets, and there's bands playing on the corners, and it's really kind of a cool vibe. And he was at it, and there was these kids that were drumming on the corner, and there was this guy that stopped, listened to him, and started kind of doing vocalizations with these 2 drummers. And my friend recognized him. It was John Anderson, and these kids didn't recognize him, so they jammed for a little bit, and they finished. And one of the kids goes to Anderson, goes, "Hey, you should think about maybe singing professionally. You sound really good." He said, "Thank you," and walked on.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, he's a real nice guy. I saw John after he went through his whole surgery and recovery at Stanford University or Stanford Hospital down here on the peninsula. I didn't know that, but he was there, I guess, for months recovering. It was a kind of a dicey situation he was in for a while, and that's when the band just abandoned him and moved on with new vocalists, that David Bonnet or whatever that first one was.
Benoit.
Yeah. so I saw John, like his first performance after he got out of the hospital, when he got the okay that he could start singing again. And it was just him solo on stage with, a couple of acoustic guitars and I think he had a Dobra, but anyways, and he was writing songs. He was writing songs while he was recording, or, while he was recovering on the grounds, and he played a couple of them. And one of them turned into a sing-along. And my friend who brought me there goes, leave it to Anderson to do a sing-along on a song nobody's ever heard before. So, the guy's got an endearing personality. He just seems like a gentle human being. But
yeah, and I like I have a couple of the solo albums, like Animation. I really like. That's a
that's
album.
a good one. Yeah.
I have The Friends of Mr. Cairo with Vangelis.
I have that also, and then has that got the Italian song on it?
I think so, yeah.
But
that's that one that.
Yeah.
And I had that Elias Sonillo. Yep.
I got that one, and it's in 5.1 surround. So it's.
I had a couple of Steve Howe solo albums. I don't know if I have them anymore. I think they somehow got lost, and but yeah. So I mean, they did this album. This band did put out. This lineup put out another album after this called what was it called? Big Generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it has like one song on it, Shoot High, Aim Low, or Aim Low, Shoot High.
Aim Low, Shoot High. Yeah.
Not a bad song, but the rest of the album they tried to follow exactly in the footsteps of this album, 90125, and it wasn't as good. Look, you can't deny the importance of this band and the hierarchy of rock.
Love.
Can't. They're in my opinion a top 3 prog band, for of the golden age, and they put out a lot of great albums. We just, quite frankly, I don't know how many more there are, but I bet you there's at least a dozen, maybe, or a half dozen, something like that. But there's a lot of compilations and box sets, and I mean, there's plenty of Yes material out there if you want to go find it. But we gave you a guideline for what we liked of the first 11. I think is how many we did. Did we do 11 albums?
I think so. Hang on.
Yeah, including the 2 from earlier. Yeah.
And we knocked it out in basically 3 hours. Lee, I appreciate you jumping in, man. I'm glad we got to do this. Sorry to spring it on you out of nowhere at 9:30 at night. You're probably like, what the fuck is up with this guy, man?
That's fine. I got to crash, though.
What's that?
I got to crash once we wrap up.
Okay, man. But yeah, we'll, Chuck, I appreciate you jumping in too, man. And, again, not too bad for you because it's only 10 o'clock out there. So it's almost like you get to bed early.
Yeah.
But, yeah, guys, appreciate you doing this with me. And we got through it, even though it wasn't quite as epic as maybe some of the other ones we've done where I've had my props and I'm not laying on my side as much. But appreciate you guys doing these. I kind of fear this could be the last one for me, but we'll see what happens. And,
I really hope not.
Yeah.
So. All right, people.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Kevin Muser for joining us. I think Kevin knew more about the band than we did, quite frankly.
He has his moments here, that's for sure. He brought up that MTV started in August of '81, so I could have sworn it was 1980.
I thought it was 82.
So I thought I saw. Well, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, August 1st, 1981. Well, then, wait a minute. Let me look at something here. Stay where you're at. 1 minute.
I'm not going nowhere.
I want to see. All right, so that was 1980, not 1979. My bad. So they had done it, and then it was already. They figured let's do. I think video's gonna. I think Trevor Horn or Art of Noise or whatever decided, hey, we should record this because we should video it because I think that's the new thing. Thanks, Logan, man. There's a lot of good stuff out there, man. There's a lot of good albums. I don't I'm not gonna lie and say that I've been very active in listening to the current incarnation of Yes, or the last, let's say, 10 years. What I heard, like Fly From Here, and there's a couple of ones like Keys to Ascension, I think was one and two, and
Yeah, that Keys I think goes back a lot further than 10 years.
that goes back quite a ways. I'm thinking
Yeah, I think
15.
so. I mean, that was something that Lou Fisher sent to me back when
But
we hooked up in '99 or 2000. So
but those albums just aren't that great to me.
no, I agree. I mean, the early Yes years are, you know, are the best as far as I'm concerned. You know, I was, you know, they hold nostalgia for me because I was in high school during some of them, and you know, you were in high school at the later ones. So, highly recommend that you pick up Relayer.
Yeah, that's one that really needs to be in your collection for sure.
Mm.
I would not, if I ran into a collection of Yes that was in a store, and the CDs, the newer stuff was like $3 or $4 a piece, better $2 or $3 a piece, but I probably would maybe think about at $4 grabbing a double CD or something. But I just, for some reason, and this Davison guy's good. He's got a good voice.
Yeah.
He sounds similar to John. I don't know if he sounds exactly like him, but he sounds close.
He's close to it. I mean, there's a song that Glass Hammer did. I forget what it's called, and John was a guest vocalist on it. And they kind of like do this interplay with their vocals, where they were kind of bebopping or whatever, and it's hard to tell them apart. They have very, very similar voices.
Yeah, they're close. It's real close. A lot better than that David Benoit guy.
Oh yeah,
that was a disaster.
And then that guy had like the same surgery that Anderson had to have on his throat. And
Wasn't there one other guy that was in there too, like a Ray Wilson?
That was Genesis.
Oh, was that Genesis? Okay.
Yeah. Who? It's like Ray Wilson. Who's he? Yeah, you're talking about box set. I picked this up, Jeff.
Hang on one sec. I'm looking at one thing. Let me just look at.
Sure.
Was it Tony O'Reilly? Let's see. No. No, I guess it was just those three singers then. Go ahead.
Yeah, I picked this up.
Oh wow.
Essentially, yes. Really nice. Yes logo by Dean. It's got the ladder on it.
Oh, the ladder was one I forgot about. Yeah.
Magnification.
Oh, Magnification. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I actually have that on Blu-ray, believe it or not. Or not Blu-ray, DVD.
So, I mean, it's got its moments here and there. Open Your Eyes. I never heard this song or this album.
No, I've never. That's the one I've heard is just absolute trash.
Yeah, and everybody's in there except for who's missing. Oh, Billy Sherwood's on keyboards on that one. And this is Anderson, Raven, Squire, K.
I don't know that one.
And I don't know White. Oh,
the white one.
So
yeah,
White
what's that called?
White's the drummer. This is just it's called Talk.
Talk. Yeah, that one I hear is not very good either.
No, I listened to all these once, and that's all I wanted to do.
The ladder, I think, had Trevor Rabin on it, right?
I have to look at the liners. It's not listed right on the back here. So, and then what was included in here was this live copy here.
Oh, live Montreux.
And I think it's Oliver Wakeman that plays on it.
He does, yeah.
Rick. So, but yeah, the latest lineup, touring lineup of Yes, that's calling himself Yes. Well, obviously, it doesn't have Squire anymore either.
No, it really only Hal is original now.
Only Hal is in it, and then the other lineup that calls themselves Yes, but they advertise as ARB. Anderson, Rabin, Wakeman, ARW.
That's it. Yeah, that
So
was
it's
it.
Rabin and then Rick Wakeman and
They went out on tour like what, 19, right?
yeah, I saw him twice,
Yeah.
18 and 19, and I prefer that lineup because Wakeman's in it. I mean, and John is in it, so
I was gonna say you got John and Wakeman,
you
yeah.
got John and Wakeman together, and I'll tolerate Rabin and whoever's playing bass.
I mean, technically speaking, at this point, John is really the only true, remaining first generation Yes guy.
Well, that's true because Hal wasn't there.
Hal didn't come on until after Time and a Word was done.
Right. And so
I
yeah,
think that the reality is though that the classic years were Hal, Anderson, White, well, a little bit of Bruford, White, and Wakeman, and I mean that's how it is. It's kind of in a weird way, a little bit like Thin Lizzy, where Brian Downey left, or did he leave? Yeah, Brian Downey left, and oh, for fuck's sake, I'm gonna forget his name. Came in, not John Sykes, the guy before him. God damn, Brian Robertson. I think Brian Robertson. I can't remember whether it was Brian Robertson first. I think it was Brian Robertson first, and Downey came in after him, but I could be wrong. I could have that backwards. But there's classic material that both those guys were great, and Sykes was great, but it's like you think of the classic period with those guys in it,
Mm.
So.
Well, one last thing here, talking about the Yes songs,
Right.
the classic lineup, or one of the classic, the 2004 tour brought back those original members, or those 5 members, and they toured. It was the 35th anniversary tour, and they have this album out.
Oh, yeah.
Congas, which is a really good. I mean, the set list off of this tour was.
Now, did you go see it? You went to see it?
I did, and Roger Dean created the set, and during the second set, they lowered like these big inflated balloons, almost looked like a hand, came down really close to the stage, and everybody played acoustic, and then they played Roundabout acoustic, which was a single that they released off of some album that they had, kind of a jazzy, version of Roundabout.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they played Roundabout acoustic, and I thought to myself, thank God it's not going to be the encore. We're going to get something different tonight. And they also did Wondrous Stories, Time is Time, and Show Me. But other songs that they had, they opened with Going for the One, Sweet Dreams, that we were just talking about earlier, off their second album, Seeing All Good People, and then Mind Drive, South Side of the Sky, Turn of the Century, which is that song in between Parallels and Going for the One. So
who is this? Who was this? Was this the three initial one?
What's that?
Who are we talking about? Did you see Yes, or are you talking about that?
Talking about this album,
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
which has Hal, Anderson, Mike, Squire, and Wakeman.
Oh, okay.
So, so they did.
How many times have you seen them then?
I think 12 times now.
Wow. Damn.
And I've seen Anderson. I saw him on his animation tour.
Whoa.
And what was that, 81, 82? Maybe 83?
83, I think it is.
Yeah, and then I saw him again and when he got healthy again after his operation. So I saw him twice. Now, I think I've seen the various lineups that they had. I saw Anderson, Wakeman, Bruford, Howell, and that was like I don't know, 85 maybe, or 80, 84, 85, somewhere in there.
Might have been 86.
I don't think it was 86 because I remember. Well, actually, it might have been 86. So
I think it was that because I think that's when that came out.
Yeah, that's right, because they did have a release, so they were supporting that. I do remember I was at my brother's place. I thought I was living there because he had a duplex, and I remember I lived there for like about a year, 84 to 85. So it might have been after that. But anyway, and I saw the Drama tour. I saw the Going for the One tour, Toronto tour. And then I didn't see him again until I think 90 when they did the Union tour. And that's when they had 2 drummers.
Actually, dude, hey, listen, we're both wrong. That was 88, man.
So we're way off.
Yeah.
So I had a dry period there from seeing them from 1980 to 88.
Wow.
So I didn't see the 90125 tour. Or
But
the
you did see Drama, you said, right?
I saw Drama, and then I saw ABWH, and then I saw the Union tour that had Bruford and White playing drums.
Right.
And then probably Tony Kaye and maybe Downs was playing keyboards. I can't remember.
Might have been.
Yeah, and then I saw the various lineups with Yes currently. So yeah, I love this band.
Do you recall? Did they have an opener for Drama?
No, it was just Yes, and again they were in the round.
Were they in the round for that?
Yeah, they were in the round. I saw them at a venue called the Cow Palace.
Oh yeah.
Which is really still around. Concerts don't go through there more because it's just a shitty venue for concerts. It's a great venue.
Didn't they do boxing there?
Do what? Can't understand you.
Didn't they do boxing matches at the Cow Palace?
I would not be surprised if they did. I know the Golden State Warriors, that used to be their home court when I was a kid. I mean, when I was like single digits kid, I went and saw a basketball game there, and the venue freaked me out. It was all dank and dark, and it was I wasn't comfortable in there, and cold because it's right in the fog belt. All the fog that comes in over Daly City through South City and that part of San Francisco is consistently freezing cold because of the fog.
Is that a bad part of town now, or?
It was never a good part of town, and it does have kind of a rough neighborhood near it. And the further away you get from it, going north into San Francisco, the worse this neighborhood gets for a few blocks. But it's still there. They wanted to tear it down and put in housing, but that was stopped. It still has. I don't know. They used to do Grand Nationals there. They'd have the rodeo there every year, and I don't think that's coming through anymore.
So they don't do concerts there anymore?
They definitely don't do concerts, but they'll have a boat show there. They used to do a boat show there. They have the Charles Dickens Christmas Fair, which is kind of a cool thing.
So what are the bigger venues there? Is it like the Omni? Is that there?
No, the big venues here now. I mean, the one that I saw a lot of acts, saw a lot of dead shows at was 2 places during the winter and the fall. Is the Oakland Coliseum, which is an indoor basketball arena, which the Warriors moved from to their new stadium now in San Francisco, the Chase Center, that has been open 2 years now.
Yeah,
when they opened it, they had Metallica was the first event there, and it was Metallica with San Francisco Symphony. So Oakland Coliseum is still used, not as much because there's the Chase Center now, and there's also the smaller clubs like the Fox Theater in Oakland, which is a renovated
Fox,
movie theater, movie house from the 20s to 30s that's been renovated into a concert hall, a la the Warfield that you've been in.
That's what I was going to say. The Warfield.
Yeah. So the Fox, same concept, old movie theater. Warfield is where I saw Asia, and I saw U2 there. before they converted into the club. They still had the movie theater seating.
And the Fillmore's still okay, right?
Yeah, the Fillmore's still there. Yeah, I was just there. That's where I saw Gary Newman.
Oh, right.
Which, by the way, Gary Newman's going to be playing here in a couple months. He's going to be back like in October.
No kidding.
At a place called Bimbo's, where I've never been, but it's like it's probably a club that, I don't know, maybe holds 300, 400 people.
Wow.
So it's like I gotta go see him there.
That would be fun. That's where the last time I saw him was here at the Chameleon, which holds maybe, I think there might have been about 600 people there that night. It holds close to 1,000, but the way that doesn't mean 1,000 can see the show. Only about 300 can see the show really well. You can jam the building up, but you can't see the stage from everywhere.
Yeah.
So that capacity thing's probably 800 is regular capacity. I think there might have been about 500 or 600. I was shocked how many people showed up to see him last. I was December, maybe 18 maybe.
Yeah.
I can't, because I've seen him a bunch of times, so I can't remember. That was the last album, not the newest album. Savages or whatever. Yeah, it was great, man. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely. And
you recognize some of the songs?
Yeah, I recognize Cars and Are People Electric? That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, but yeah, a great show.
You didn't recognize Down in the Park? Down in the Park, down, da, 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 da,
You know,
da,
I don't have any of his stuff in my collection.
Okay.
So
you should, man.
I know. You guys I still haven't listened to that, and I won't go there. But anyways, as far as the venues are here.
The email I sent you 9 million years ago, to the text I sent you of that track. Oh, Love Forever Changes. Never mind.
That's the one.
Fucker.
Yeah.
Fucker.
Still haven't listened to that for whatever
One of
reason.
these days, I'm gonna be long dead, and you're gonna listen to that album, and you're gonna go, God damn, man! Now I can't tell Kiefer how much I fucking love this album.
Well, I'll listen to it on the plane ride to your memorial, and
Right.
I'll share with whoever's there.
Now you can hang out with my daughter because she loves that album. You guys can play it over my grave.
There you go.
All right, so go ahead. Sorry.
While we're throwing our Yes albums into your casket.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, as far as other venues here in the Bay, the Chase Center, which is where the Sharks play, San Jose hockey team, is a venue that's used for the bigger acts. I think Lady Gaga is going to be there, or Taylor Swift, whatever. And then you have the outdoor amphitheater Shoreline, which doesn't have as many concerts as it used to. But I was there earlier this year to see The Dead, of course, which is was one of their like home parks. When Bill Graham built that, he built it kind of like, if you look from an aerial view, it almost looks like their Steal Your Face, the skeleton head with the lightning bolt through it.
Yeah.
So it's like, But I bet you every outdoor venue, sheds, kind of have the same thing. You got a stage and then the bowl around it.
Have you been over to the Great American? What's it called? The Great American.
I saw. Yeah, it was Great American Music Hall. I was up there this year, and who did I see there? I saw Pineapple Thief there, and that's a great little venue. I'm glad that it survived. It partnered up with Slim's, the other club.
Yeah.
That Boss Skaggs opened. And Slim's shut down like in 19. Like their last show was like maybe a New Year's show, and then they said that's it, we're shutting down. But Slim's and Great American Music Hall had a thing together where I would get email announcements for upcoming shows for both those venues in one email. So they had some sort of collaboration going on there. But the music hall still exists, and I think it's going to be around. I think it can, because it can be used for other venues. It's ornate, and it's got
That's a cool place.
It is. And
did you see the PT show there or no?
I did not see PT show there.
That was the one you were not there. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, and I did not see PT.
That was weird because that was the day. Well, they had this band opening them called Oh shit. Something Fair. What the fuck were they called? Something Fair. Come on now, man. Don't do this to me. It wasn't Vanity Fair, but it was
It's a magazine, man.
son of a bitch. It might it might
Oh,
come to me. Well, it was two names, Something Fair. And they were actually really good. I was surprised how much I liked them. But I remember before with the show, it was me and Wes and I think Richard and Tracy and a bunch of the John probably Markovich and Jay Monkey, and we're in like Mel's Diner there, I think.
well, there's a Mel Diner up there. It's not.
It's up the street a couple blocks, I believe, right?
There's Tommy's Joint.
Maybe that's where we were at.
Tommy's Joint. So it's big building painted, kind of like a mural, corner of Van Ness and something. It's not too far away from the music hall.
Well, it's like a what do you call those restaurants where you like a deli.
Oh
big,
yeah, like a smorgasbord.
Yeah, but it was like that. But it was a big place. Up, I think it was on the same side as Great American, about 3 or 4 blocks up, like away from the bay.
Okay.
I think it was up past. I remember the Capitol was down around there, sort of, kind of. I thought. At least,
Capitol?
maybe I'm wrong.
City Hall, you mean?
City Hall, yeah.
It's not too far away. It's 7
Couple
blocks
away.
away.
Yeah.
It's a long hike because it's city blocks.
Yeah, right. But we're sitting in there, and I think Steve walked in, and I was showing him my Marillion tattoo, and we were handing out dork points for hobbits,
Right.
He's like, he goes, no one can touch that. That's like the most fucking hobbit thing that you could ever do right there. 400 troll points or whatever. And Gavin walked in, and we asked him to sit down. He just kind of put us off like, nah. And I think I heard that he was going to. I thought I heard him say he was going to meet with Neil Peart, but that couldn't have been possible because Neil lived down in what's it right there by? Oh my god, dude, the weeds kind of got my head a little bit. The beach, L.A. beach. What's that famous beach?
Well, there's Venice Beach.
Venice. Yeah.
It's where Rob Trujillo.
Well, what's the real nice section right up from that?
From
Starts
Venice,
yeah.
Manhattan, and then there's now that's the other way. Santa Monica is right next to.
Santa Monica. That's where Neil Peart lived.
Okay.
At that time, and so because I know when we went to see him in L.A., then he was definitely having lunch with Neil. But and that's before Neil was sick. That was back quite a way back. But actually, it was when Neil was not in Rush. Actually, at that point, he was not playing out with the band at that point yet. He hadn't gotten back together. They hadn't got back together. But
What year was this now again?
would have been 2005 and 6.
So
and I guess Rush came back in 2005 with Vapor Trails, I think. So maybe they were back, but that's when they first met because Neil got a copy of In Absentia and really liked. He talked about it in one of the books that he Traveling Music, I think it's called. It's a good book where he's just driving around to different parks in his BMW and listening to tunes, and he comes across this Porcupine Tree, and that's why when I went to see Porcupine Tree when I went to see Rush in 2005, I went to see him like 4 times. And every show they played In Absentia songs. Blackest Eyes or Trains, I think. And they might have even played like Gravity Eyelids or something like that. Drown With Me, yeah. I was like, holy shit, they're playing, Porcupine Tree. Well, he knew about the band from that album. And then he wanted to meet Gavin because I guess he realized Gavin was pretty ferocious drummer, and which he is.
Yeah.
And that's how they became acquaintances. Not buddies, but acquaintances. He had more. Gavin had more lunches with Neil than I ever did. So, but you
I'm
get to
looking here for tour history 2005, 2006, and there's nothing here for Great American Music Hall. 2005, PT played at the Masonic, or not the Masonic, I always get it mixed up with the Hyatt House. Venue that's not too far from Tommy's Joint on.
what's it called? They played the Fillmore twice, and they played. If it's Great American, then I'm thinking of.
Well, let's see here. Now I have a feeling that maybe you're thinking of, and this would make more sense. Just let me scroll through 07 here. And a lot of dates.
It wasn't 07, dude.
Wasn't? Okay.
No, it was 05 or 06.
All right. Oops. Let me go back to 05 because there was definitely a date in San Francisco, and I wasn't at that one. It was October, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'm telling you, it was at Great American.
And I think you might have a brain fart.
No.
House of Blues, probably down in Southern California. The Regency Ballroom.
That's it. Yeah, it was called the Regency Ballroom.
Yeah.
Do you know where that's at?
Yeah, it's up the street from that smorgasbord that you ate at.
Okay.
Tommy's Joint. And actually,
Okay.
you know what? There might be I'd have to look.
So that was it. What they called the Regency what?
Regency Ballroom. I get this confused. There's a Hyatt Regency in San Francisco also, so I get the two confused all the time. So yeah, so they played there that year.
Yep.
But I saw them.
What year was that? 06 or 05?
05.
That's what I thought.
So I saw them at the Fillmore twice, and then at Slim's in 2002 maybe.
Oh yeah, that was Slim's. Yeah.
What tour was that? Was that Yeah, it was after Lightbulb Sun, the following album when that was.
I'm trying to see if I see. Let me see what I find here. I that's bugging the shit out of me. I cannot remember. Well, Robert Fripp opened the first leg.
Yeah, he was at the. Well, that's the poster that we got. Fripp and Porcupine Tree at the Fillmore. 2008, maybe, or 2009.
What's that? Say that again.
2008, 2009.
For which?
Fripp opening.
No, that was 2005.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and he played the Fillmore, and he opened the Fillmore. That's the one where I saw two different shows there. The one was for the Fear stuff, and the other one was the one where Steve played almost like an acoustic version of Even Less. Do you remember that? He also did the song "Thank You" from his single series thing. The Alanis Morissette song, and it was also and I think it was the same one, the same show. He must have got like diarrhea or had to really piss really bad all of a sudden, because he's like he finished the song. He's like, I'm gonna have Wes play something for you right now because otherwise there's not gonna be a show. I'll be back. And I gathered he must have got diarrhea or something, like, because I mean if it was piss he could have gone behind the stage and pissed in a cup or something like that, or snuck off during a musical thing. This was like, I gotta go and I gotta go now. And that's what I remember that show most for. But the one at the Regency, they had this band open for them. Market Fair? Man, what the fuck is the name of that band? Hang on.
Yeah, I didn't see it listed here as far as any openers go, but look at the set list from the Fillmore, June 2005.
Wait a minute. Here's a concert archive. Let me see if I.
Dead Wing, Sound of Music, Lazarus, Halo, Smart Kid, Hate Song, Arriving Somewhere, Fade Away, Strip of Soul, Melatonin Scratch, Blackest Eyes, Even Less, She's Moved On, Trains.
All right, here we go. Let me see.
So they were out here twice in 2005,
Yes, because
spring and the fall.
they
Oh,
were still in lava. Yeah,
yeah.
they could still. That was before lava dropped them, and things got. Well, actually, lava had dropped them by the time they came to the second leg of the tour. But okay, here, let me see. Here we go. Hold on. July. When did you say that show at the it was October, was it?
2005, October, and where is it? Did I say June?
Okay, well, it looks like it was September actually. It looks like they don't have the
Yeah, June 8th, 2005 at the Fillmore. And then
I'm wondering if it was for the 2000. When did they play the Regency? What year?
I'm looking here. Hang on.
I thought you said October.
The Regency, they played in 21st of October in 2005. So they were out here in San Francisco twice.
21st of October.
Right. So you and I saw them at the Fillmore 2005, and they came back out in October 2005 and played the Regency.
All right, hang on, man. Let me go.
But
There it is, right there, Regency. Yeah, what the fuck? Who was? Let me see something. They have the set list here. I'm trying to see who, and they don't have who opened. Damn it! That's gonna bug the fuck out of me. I have the album somewhere. It was a good band though. I was actually kind of surprised. They didn't really fit. They were kind of more like almost like a talk type band in a weird way. Like very low key, low. Not. It's hard to explain. They just were very, and they had a very unique vocalist that sounded pretty cool. But yeah, those were some good tours, man. They were good shows. I mean, I saw PT 53 times from 1999 to 2009.
you saw them a lot, man.
2010. Saw them a lot. I know for a fact that when they retired or shut down for Wilson, I was the number 2 guy. There was another guy a couple guys that were close that were like at 47, 48. And I know John Comiskey saw him a bunch, Serge saw him a bunch. But the guy that had me blown away was Simon. He saw their very first show in 94. Saw a bunch of shows in the UK, like, he probably was over 100 shows, and I was at 53, which is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. Kind of crazy.
And when they hung it up, they're like, thank God we're not going to see that Jeff guy anymore showing up.
Well, probably. I mean, that's very possible. Jeff guy and all of his freaky buddies.
Yeah, that's it. Everywhere I go, they follow me around. So in 2009, he shows at the Capitol Hanover that Fripp played with them.
Okay, he might have done another opener set.
Heineken Music Hall, probably in Amsterdam, played with them.
That's Amsterdam, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's like 5,000 people. That's a big venue. So they probably
this Amsterdam one is. You been there?
What's that?
You been to that Amsterdam venue?
No, I just know that it holds 5,000 people.
Oh.
But I've seen it on Marillion live DVD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think I'm 99% sure I have the PT set from that playing from that venue when I think they might have opened for Dream Theater on that tour. PT did.
Oh, okay.
Because they did open for Dream Theater on one tour. I want to say it was Lightbulb Sun or I want to say it was In Absentia or not In Absentia. Lightbulb Sun or I think it was Lightbulb Sun. I'm almost sure it was. That they opened in Europe for Dream Theater, which seems like a weird
Well, that was
mix.
early
but,
then. If it Light Bulb Sun, that would have been 2000, 2001. That's the album they had out for
2000.
we
Yeah.
saw them in June 2001.
Is that what it was?
They had because they played tunes off of the Light Bulb Sun. Lost Stupid Dream, but they played I do remember they played
That came out in May of 2000.
right. So
I'm 90% sure. Let me look here real quick. And I could just swear that tour was the one that they opened for Dream Theater on.
that
Because
sounds about right.
I think Stupid Dream would have been a little too early for that, and that was when they didn't do a lot of European. They did a fair amount of European touring, but not a massive amount. And they were trying to break America with that, and it didn't quite happen. So when Lightbulb Sun was going to happen, they may not have come over here if it wouldn't have been for the fact that Lava had stepped in and optioned them to do In Absentia, and they already had some money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, all right, well, I probably better let you roll.
Right on, brother. Well,
But
thanks again for the short notice.
yeah, no, I'm sorry I did it that way, but
I'm glad we did it.
At least we got it done.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it.
And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I mean, there was a lot of tidbits in there, and I wish I would have had more of my stuff to show, but I wasn't going to go dig around for that. I knew you guys would have the bulk of it, so. But, all right, man. Peace out.
Right on. Be seeing you.
See ya.